Welcome to the Uproot Project podcast, where we dig deep to uncover and dismantle toxic beliefs about God, ourselves, and each other. Our goal is to replant new insights in the fertile soil of wisdom and love, fostering personal growth and transformation. Join us as we explore new ways of thinking and living in a world of complexity and diversity. Welcome back, y'all.
Hey.
Yeah.
My
Party
name is
over here, ain't nothing over there.
Party over here. Welcome back. We are ridiculous, and you already knew this. My name is Christian, she, her.
My name is Chris, he, him.
My name is Whitney, she, her, and a little nauseated.
Oh.
This is
I
the
know.
reality.
If y'all, that's what that pause was. My face did a thing, so
We're just
y'all
trying to
just
make
bear with us. I feel
trying to
fine
make
though.
it-
I'll be okay.
make sure
I'm not
things
just
stay
saying
where they
that.
belong as much as possible. I mean, but if they need to evacuate, y'all just gonna get a pause.
You won't even notice.
I mean, you might.
Big up to our
'cause we're
editor.
probably gonna talk about it, but that's just the way we
Might be
are.
in a bonus clip.
That's just the way we are. That's just the way.
Right.
it
That's
is.
exactly what my brain did, but I didn't know if that's where you were gonna go.
Things will
So I didn't
never
go.
be the same.
Yep.
You better sing it. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do.
Good
Yeah.
times.
Good times. Mhm. Did y'all miss us?
R.I.P.
It's
Tupac.
been. Is that who sings that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the only part of the song I know.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
just
you know
way
the
it
instruments?
is. Do-do-do, do-do-do. It's part of the.
Well,
It's part of the same section.
Things
Things
will
will never be the same. Do-do-do,
Yeah.
do-do-do. It's the part. That's the part of the song I know.
Mm.
Those four
Heard.
little bars, including the instruments. It's
Heard.
the part of the song I know. Oh, y'all. Okay, we're gonna get into this mindfulness moment.
Yes. So, as usual, if you are in a place where you can, you know who's not included.
Those with driving needs.
Yes.
Eyes required. Keep them open.
Or any other thing, like if you're operating heavy machinery.
Or generally at work and you don't need people thinking you sleep. You know.
I mean, that's going to be like 60 to 90 seconds. Close your eyes. That's revolutionary. Take your space. Okay? Fuck that shit.
Resist.
In the words that I say all the time, fuck them people.
Resist.
Y'all remember, okay, before we go into this, do y'all remember just a few short months ago when Luigi did his big one?
Oh, yeah.
And that CEO left a vacant position
Yeah.
and they posted that hoe the next day?
Oh, I
Right.
do.
Oh,
yeah, that's
They
what they
killed
gonna
it.
do. Stop giving them people your everything.
Life will go on.
Life will go on. Close your eyes at your desk. Unless you on camera. Then turn the camera off and close your eyes because also fuck them people.
Yeah, they
Okay.
could just think you went to the potty. It's fine.
That's it. So if you are in a position where you can close your eyes, please do so now. Close or lower your gaze. Get settled in your body. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the earth supporting you. However, whether you're sitting down on the ground or in a chair, a seat, just center yourself in your body. We're going to take a deep breath in together and then we're going to let it out slowly from our mouth. And we'll do that a couple of times. So inhale. And then let it out from the mouth. Again, inhale. And let it out slowly. And now, as you continue to breathe, imagine that you are creating a safe and quiet space within yourself. A space where you can just be. No judgment, no pressure. Just you as you are right now. Now gently bring to mind an area of your life that may be calling for healing. There's no need to fix it. Remember, we are not here for this purpose. Don't push it away. Just acknowledge it like you're greeting an old friend. And as you inhale, imagine breathing in warmth, compassion, and acceptance. As you exhale, release any tension or resistance you have. Allow yourself to rest in the truth that vulnerability is not weakness. It's an opening. It's a doorway to deeper healing and connection. Take in one more breath to seal in this practice. And then I want you to let it out with a sigh. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes, flutter your eyes open, look around, get back in your body, and we're going to go on with the show.
All right. So today's topic is going to be vulnerability as a path to healing, how embracing vulnerability brings emotional and spiritual healing. And one of the things that we want to just start off talking about is just overall how difficult it is to even go down this process. I mean, that seems to be a really good place to start.
I'm going to acknowledge that this is
It's hard.
Yeah.
And
Which is why healing is intentional.
you got to do it on purpose.
You have to do it on purpose, but maybe without so much effort sometimes. Intent, not effort.
There you go.
Expound.
So it's like we were talking about, I think we talked about this either 1 or 2 episodes ago, this idea that like living things grow,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this kind of the same way, I don't know if we were going to talk about this early, but here we go. The same way that like industrialization and capitalism has put on us this need to like constantly be productive. We take that and apply that to so many areas of our own humanity.
We do.
Right. And so like, oh, I'm being lazy if I'm resting. What?
Fuck that.
No.
Soundly. Fuck it soundly. Okay. But we then also take that to our healing, right? And so like we are going to put in all the inputs so we can get the outputs. And it becomes like this frenetic thing where like your sole focus is just on healing. So much so to where it can get exhausting and overwhelming.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you set the intent to heal and have the aligned action of being present, because healing actually requires presence, right? You have to be here now to see what's really happening. If you're constantly in the future and you're worried and you're anxious, you're not here now, baby. How are we going to do anything about it in the future? If we, the actions for the future is now. They happen now. And so being present and having the intent and orientation towards healing will facilitate growth.
It will.
It will align you with growth
Yeah.
and healing.
There used to be when I was back in church early on, one of the big things that we say that the only way out of a storm is through it.
Absolutely.
And just very simplified way of understanding what you were saying.
Yeah.
Even now, is like you have to be with yourself through the process.
Absolutely.
You have to align. You have to actively engage in the process. You can't check out.
Yeah. Yes.
And
it's not even.
You have to lock in.
Yeah, but I think there's we had some brief conversations about this previously with my relationship with food, which was the thing I thought of that needed healing. I'm trying to remember the exact phrase you said. You said we need to go into it with intent and not
Effort.
Yes.
Yep.
And so because of the extremes that our culture tends to make us go towards when we are attempting to heal something. First of all, usually the word in our head, my head, y'all. The word in my head is not healing, it is fixing.
Yep.
That there is something wrong with me.
You better pull it out. Tease it out. Tease it out. I feel it. Come on.
Yeah. And so that narrative of fixing doesn't just require intent. It requires effort. It requires attack, right? If I want to fix something, then I'm going to go all in, right? But if you want to heal, and I'm going to use an example because your sis got me and my knees. We got history, okay? I have been dislocating my knees since I was 12. I am currently 38, okay? That's over 25 years of knees not being where they belong.
That's real. Damn.
And I've had 2 knee surgeries. I was diagnosed with patellofemoral arthritis. I know it's long. When I was 27.
All that means is just knee thigh.
Yeah, that's what that means. Knee thigh.
My
My knee thighs. I got
Femur
the arthritis of the knee thigh.
Oh my gosh.
Knee
Break
thyritis.
it down, science, but
The knee thyritis. That's what I got.
Wow.
knee thigh.
Anyway, and so just for an example, when I had my first surgery, I was in high school and I was trying to get back to being in the marching band, right? Because that's what I did. I'm a band nerd. Hello, I play bass clarinet.
So well. She did it well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I did all right.
She
I didn't
really
like
held
the
it
practice.
down.
I still managed to be in the middle band because I could read music and I could flow pretty good.
To this day, bass clarinet is my second favorite instrument.
There you
What's
go.
number 1? Trumpet?
Absolutely.
I still remember. I feel good about that.
Absolutely.
I knew it wasn't saxophone.
Absolutely not.
Trumpets go
I knew
hard.
I have
was-
warmed up to saxophone a little bit more than I used to be. Like, I don't hate it.
Oh, man.
But-
I used to play saxophone.
Did you?
Back.
Saxophone.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
They said that so much. It was so fucking annoying.
Saxophone.
And then from The Simpsons.
It is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely from The Simpsons.
I didn't know where it was from when I was in school.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are y'all saying this all the damn time?
Simpsons. Lisa played the saxophone.
I knew she played the saxophone, but I never watched it.
I think that was Homer
Yeah.
talking about Lisa playing the saxophone.
Right.
okay.
Yes.
That makes
He
that
was- he
from
was-
what I know about Homer, this makes sense.
He was trying so hard.
He was.
So when I dislocated my knee walking down the stairs, when I tell y'all my knees they do what they do. My band was going to Grand Nationals, which was a really big deal. We hadn't been in a long time. It was in Indianapolis. And is it doxing myself if I tell you where I went to school? I went to a very band focused school.
Yes.
Okay.
But also very black and brown. So like not
Extremely.
in the way that I think other people would necessarily think of that.
It was a military style, right? But if you're in band, you're gonna understand. If you're a bander, you know what I'm about to say. We were a core style marching band, okay? That we did not do what you see TSU do.
Well, because y'all had Geiger, and Geiger wasn't black.
Right, Geiger wasn't black, but he let us do more stuff than most bands with a white band director.
Fair.
Anyway.
Fair.
Anyway,
They were cold.
we were freaking amazing. There's at least 4 people I know who are professional musicians that were in band with me, and 2 of them went to Juilliard. And so like
Nice.
there's at least 5 or 6 of them that are now band directors. Like they was about that life, okay?
Yeah.
Like I went to school with for real amazing banders. Shout out to y'all. If you were in the band with me with Geiger, y'all are the real ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to get back on the marching field. I had dislocated my knee right like towards the end of the year. And so I had surgery that summer and I wanted to get back out on the field. Practice starts in the summer. So here's the thing. For me to get back on the field, I had to have surgery. So I have my surgery, but you can't force healing.
Nope.
No.
Right?
Nope. Oh,
When
when
I-
I parallel. Oh,
When I first got out of surgery,
Mm-hmm.
I could not lift my leg.
mm-hmm.
And so it started with going to therapy, wiggle your toes, right? And so, yes, there were times I could push myself and be more intentional about doing my exercises as the people told me when they told me to try something, to be trying it regularly. But here's the thing. If you force that, you going backwards.
Oh, yeah.
She did throw something at me.
I found something to throw. I have chapstick today. Can
You
kick
forced
it back
that?
to me. I'm gonna need this again. I'm sure for you or Chris.
Yeah.
If you force that, you're going backwards,
I
right?
may
Like,
have a follow-up, so.
if you force it, you're going backwards. So healing, while it does take intent,
Yes.
and it does take some effort, like you have to do.
It takes
you have
aligned action.
but the action got to be aligned.
It has to be
because in the
aligned.
beginning, I can't just jump up and try to do jumping jack.
Correct.
I gotta. There's an order to this,
Exactly.
right?
There is an order to it, and an order that you may not intuitively perceive it to be so.
The violence in the
I'm
room,
doing things today. I am excited.
right? And so
No, that's that.
Yeah.
that part,
Yes.
because
It's on the other side of you.
Okay.
we'll get it. But with my knee, right? My main focus was getting it to bend properly, right? Because right after surgery, I had you don't need to know what kind of surgery I had. Just know that my knee wouldn't bend.
It was a patellofemoral surgery.
Okay.
They put it in
A
something.
knee thus.
Nothing. They
knot.
put it in,
Nah, come now unto me.
they put it in something that would immobilize it. So my leg was straight.
Yeah.
To allow the healing process to take place, which seems like I need to walk. Why would you want my knee straight? Well, we fixed some things. So for a time, it seems counterintuitive,
Hey.
but it needs to not move.
Hey,
This is how we start the healing process. Be still.
Right.
that's literally it. That's
Nope.
literally it. But the issue is people are so uncomfortable with discomfort that we're trying to move through it quickly, right?
Yes.
And what are you doing? What are you accomplishing?
You just prolonging and fate avoiding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the one, yo. This ain't fun, love.
Right.
That's poetry. That's poetry. I didn't know if you was gonna catch that one. But no, that's what happens, right? You end up making the time
you're
to
prolonging
heal
it
longer because you're not actually healing. You're trying to fix.
Right.
You're trying
to fix.
That's what's happening.
Activity is not productivity.
Not always.
Come on. That's really it, right? And so like if that action isn't aligned, that's what I'm saying with effort.
Aligned.
I'm not saying you do nothing.
Right.
You take the aligned action, and sometimes the aligned action is inaction.
Sometimes you need to be still.
Sometimes you got to sit in the middle of the mess and figure out the lay of the land.
Sometimes you got to immobilize it. Sometimes you need to pay attention.
Yes.
Like
all the time you need to pay attention.
Well, I mean, like that needs to be your main activity.
Presence is your main activity.
And I said that because with my knee, one of the things that I learned was like I had to reconnect my brain to the muscles that move my leg.
Yes.
Yep.
So I literally would sit there going, how do I move that muscle? Brain, think about your calf. Think about your calf. Where is your calf? Okay, try to make it twitch. That didn't do anything. Okay, that's not your calf. And so I'm concentrating, but I am intentionally reconnecting to the parts of my body, my physical body in this case, that are not operating the way that I want them to currently.
You are reconnecting to the parts of you that are disconnected.
Because
that's what healing is, right? Like
bringing things back online.
Right. And so there are so many things that we are disconnected from. And y'all. So listen, I'm reading a book. I brought it downstairs because I said, listen.
She knew. She already knew.
I've seen the outline. I've seen the video. Okay. And I'm just going to bring the book.
Come do that mess in this podcast.
That part. I'm going to bring that mess up in here.
Bring it.
And so one of the things, so I'm rereading because I finally got a tangible hard copy because I thought I had read it via audiobook until I got the hard copy. And I said, I missed so much because my hands were idle and I can't listen. And anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm rereading Gary Zukav's The Seat of the Soul, which is one of like Oprah's favorite books of all time.
Okay.
I got an Oprah classic too. Go ahead.
I have several. I fuck with Oprah. I don't say what y'all say about Auntie. I get it. We don't agree with everything.
She's a billionaire. Fine.
Yeah, her. But Oprah has been instrumental in so much of my spiritual deconstruction just because of her own and the way she has done that so publicly. And like the books she has read, the conversations she has had just from my youth up till now. I am grateful for Oprah in that way. But Gary's book, he talks about so many things. And one of the quotes that I was reading the other day while sitting on my driveway in the sun, because sometimes you got a lizard, and was that like, process is honored in reverence. So when you have a reverence for life, that means you have to have a reverence for the processes of life.
Wow.
Right? Knowing that things don't happen on whatever timeline you think. Because also time is a construct. Come on, y'all. Let's focus.
We know.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we don't know.
Right. But like we have these timetables that we've made up and we are like, oh, we're going to do this by then because this is when we decided arbitrarily and now we're like committed to it. And it's like, no. But life has its own flow, its own healing process, its own all these things, right?
Yeah.
And so reverence for life is that. Another thing that he says, which I don't remember what page it's on, I have that one
bookmarked,
dog-eared. So is he talks about vulnerability with your emotions, right?
Oh, Lord.
And how that is the beginning of a spiritual journey. Because your emotions are connected to that higher self.
Yeah.
And so if you cannot be vulnerable enough to experience your emotions without feeling the need to change them, to fix them, then you are going to continue to be disconnected from yourself. And for me, these two things come together really powerfully, right? If I can be vulnerable with myself and sit with that, then I am now in motion of like having reverence for the process of life.
Yeah.
And what's funny for me personally, I'm in a weird space where everything is like the best. And I don't know, it doesn't feel temporary. Like I'm just really having the best life. And not because of the situation, circumstances. Like I feel like, I said this to my friend the other night, I feel like my soul and my personality have come home and the Wi-Fi has synced up. And so with that, it's like, oh shit, I can see. And so like when things are uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, but there's a reason. And not in an arbitrary way. Like, oh, no, this is part of the process. Ooh, something's happening.
Right.
I can't wait to see what it is because I don't fucking know. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
Which is that, y'all. Let me tell you how that was a process.
Development, yeah.
To get there.
And I think that's what people try to preach when they talk about have joy or having this joy.
That is what they're trying to
and
talk
that
about.
It's not versus happiness was based in situations, but it's really right, exactly.
Sorry.
But the joy that they talk about is very much an abiding happiness.
Yes.
That this is a disposition.
Absolutely. It's an orientation towards life.
It's an orientation towards life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's not something that, like you said, comes about as a result of
events,
happenstance or osmosis. This comes as, like you said, when we put ourselves in alignment with ourselves. And so we approach life with a unique and particular outlook.
Yeah, that, and you move in such a way. And so I think, and y'all have heard pieces of my journey, right? For the last year or so. It's been longer than that. But we are not conditioned to function that way.
No.
Right? Like we are conditioned very rationally, very, right?
Cerebral.
Yes.
Extremely.
Very 5 senses oriented. And which this book largely talks about. So if you go read the book, you'll be like, oh, she ain't saying nothing new. No, bitch, I didn't, because I read the same book. But like he talks about being a 5-sensory human versus a multisensory human. And the multisensory human being the part of you that connects with your intuition, with your higher self, connects to the pieces of your larger soul.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I ain't really been a 5-sensory human most of my life. And as a young person, that caused me a lot of distress because I exist in a world with a lot of 5-sensory humans.
Right.
And so as like a highly intuitive child who has these gifts, who is a channel, who's done all these things. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm fucking weird. Let me try to turn it off. And it was like, you can turn it down. But like off is not an option.
It's not an option. That's how you came in here.
Yeah. Like it's not, we're not gonna leave. Like very much that way, right? And so when I stopped doing that shit and let them come on, then it got very uncomfortable because it was like, hey, your life, wrong. Excuse me. But look at all that I've done. Look at what I've accomplished. Like I am basically a success on paper. What are you talking about? Like I'm a boss bitch.
Yeah.
I'm a bad bitch. All of my pronouns minus nauseated. Like, what are y'all saying? And it was like, no. That like low thrum that you constantly feel, we've been trying to tell you, but it was a little bit quiet. You didn't want to be connected. Now that you connected, now that now that we're closer to being synced up, right? Basically, we just want to let you know you ain't got it. And it's that switch, right? That requires a vulnerability in multiple ways, not just emotionally or mentally, but for me, it was environmental. Because I walked away from steadiest income that I had.
Yeah.
I walked away from medical insurance during like the middle of a health crisis.
Yeah.
Like I walked away from a lot.
Yeah.
And it got a little sketchy at one point. It was good, then it was sketch, now it's fine. But what I also learned is, I can literally be good throughout any of that. Like I had like 3 weeks where I was like, oh shit, am I going to slip back into a depression? I haven't been depressed since my 20s.
Yeah.
And then it was like something went, nope. And I went, oh yeah, I forgot. I have tools for this. I don't have to do that. Right. Like the thing I had my last cycle of depression, I had like a moment of realization. I was like, oh, this is how we never go back. And that came back online. I was like, oh yeah, just do that. And then once I got out of that, it got dark, but then it got light, bright. And now it's kind of blinding in such an amazing way. But at every turn, and y'all know, I've been on a vulnerability journey.
Yeah.
None of this happens without me being vulnerable with myself, with my emotions with myself, with my guides to be like, yeah, I built this life. I worked really hard.
Right.
I worked really hard to build this life and do all the things. And for you to tell me I did it wrong.
Yeah, no, there's going to be some anger, some grief.
Yeah. Grief.
Yeah.
There's absolutely a grief process with that. And it's worth it.
Well, there you have it.
And I think that's the thing. I had a conversation. I might have been a little high, but I had a conversation with a friend. I might have been crying at the bar. Don't worry about me. Happy tears, because I be waxing poetic. Put anything in me, I'm going to wax poetic. I don't know. And so what I said to her caught me off guard, which is I think what led to the tears, because I wasn't expecting that to come out of my mouth, but it was genuine. And I was like, the 14-year-old me 13-year-old me that prayed, God, if it doesn't get any better than this, take me out now. Had no idea it could feel like this. I had no idea life could feel this good.
Man.
I had no clue. And I was like, and I feel like I'm only scratching the surface. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't happen without scary, big, stupid, ugly vulnerability.
It does not.
It doesn't happen.
That is the only way out is through.
Yeah.
That's it. And that is it. Like you have to go through it. And like there's a trust that comes with
There
like,
is so much trust.
yeah, that like if I decide to leave what I think is comfortable, even though it's not super comfortable, but it's a
comfortable in a
familiar
specific way.
discomfort.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Like if I
Example,
choose to leave my familiar discomfort to go on this journey of unknown, there is a trust that is sometimes shaky, at least in my case, that it will be worth something else on the other side. But if you've never seen that side, how the fuck do you know?
There's a lack of, and I just got through reading, what is it? Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hershey. Hersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no H in the middle. Hersey. She talked about the fact that there just aren't a lot of role models of what, as Chris would call it, arrested life.
Yeah.
Like
a
a life that is healed and in pursuit of the type of joy you're referring to that is like full alignment. And it made me think of, I'm pretty sure it's Paul. It's always Paul. He says something about, whether in this or in that.
Yes.
I have learned that,
yes, I talked about them in my IG stories a while back around the election.
I've learned to be content.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can't remember the exact
it's
Bible
like
verse, but
in plenty,
Philippians 4.
and
in plenty.
It's the right before that I can do all things through Christ.
That's what it's leading up to.
Right. And that is the actual,
that's the context.
Right,
the context is that.
It's not to help you win championships.
Championships.
Come on, championships.
Him too. Them
all of them. We're
championships.
going to win all the shit.
No ships.
No ships left behind.
No ships. But that is what you're describing, right? That is the framework that Paul is working from, right? Because this nigga been in jail. This nigga been beat up. He been starving. He been shipwrecked.
He been lied on. Cheated. Talked about. Mistreated. Abused. Scorned. Talked about. Short and long. Been up, down. Almost to the ground. Long as I got King Jesus. Long as I got King Jesus. Long as I got don't need nobody else.
Anyway,
welcome to the praise break.
Hey, you need one sometime. Take one.
And listen, for our listeners who do not know, that is an iconic piece of Black church culture.
Oh my God!
Feel free to Google it. But
is it Dottie Peoples? Is that who that is?
Vicky Winans.
Is it Vicky?
Oh, it is Vicky.
It's one of them. That's a good song.
Yeah.
Marvin's ex-wife.
Oh, I didn't know that was marriage.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
I knew she was
okay.
But you said Marvin, and my brain immediately translated sap, and I was like,
"Damn,
that's not right." That's what my face was like. What? Oh no.
Yes,
Marvin,
focus. There are two Marvins.
I don't know why. I just thought that was another.
And they both bishops.
None of them are Martians. Crazy.
I know, right?
Crazy.
Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian
Hilarious.
Both of them. I'm sorry. Both of them people.
I don't even know which one of y'all I'm laughing at.
Well, did you say you didn't know which one of us were you?
I don't know which one of y'all I'm laughing at.
The answer is yes. Yes, you are.
But yeah, like the point that Paul was trying to make was not about like, it's really more about having this disposition and this connectedness.
Yes.
This presence.
Yeah.
That no matter what is happening where I am, I can get through this.
Right.
And it's not.
Because I'm aligned.
Yes.
And that's the part where it's like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so the way that phrase was weaponized.
Absolutely.
Right.
The ways that phrase was weaponized.
That's when it came back to perseverance, and it's like that's not quite it.
That's not. It was because that is about effort.
Mm-hmm.
That's about effort.
That's about effort. That's about fixing,
It is.
right?
Right.
If I feel like I can't make it, that's my fault. I ain't got enough faith, right? Like,
Look at Job.
You're not believing hard enough.
fucking Job.
Job, I literally was talking to my friend Mel about this recently about how,
Job
like,
didn't even believe.
the book of Job has just
He
been,
got tired.
Job has been weaponized so deeply. And like I said this to Mel, I was just like, my biggest issue, even as a kid, was this nigga lost everything.
Mhm.
And they were like, but it's cool because he got new shit. Bitch, he lost
No,
children.
he didn't get the same kids back.
Right.
They didn't get
I was like,
resurrected.
we're not talking about a grief process here.
Right,
And
right,
I'm
right.
sure, like, even if, yes, you get things restored, there is still a grief process that happens. Like, even,
Right.
And I
even
mean-
when I say I'm experiencing like this crazy joy, like, that is inclusive of like
Mhm.
grief processes.
And
Right.
that's what we miss from Paul's declaration
Yes.
is the fact that like he is joyful. That don't mean he like is enjoying all of it,
yeah.
right?
Right.
And so it's like, oh, if I feel bad, again, fixing. If I feel bad, I need to control that emotion. I need to be joy. I need to
Right.
show joy. I need to. People don't need to know it hurts. People don't need to know it sucks.
No.
And that's
Yep. No, that's
not the point.
That's real. Like yesterday, I was in traffic, and I was very upset because I was like, I'm in traffic. I'm running late. 45 sucks ass. I don't like
does.
this.
I hate 45.
Um,
45
as
is
little as
by
possible.
And,
far our worst
Jesus,
freeway.
That's why I don't live near it. I do it on purpose.
I really trying to as well at some point in my life. I will never.
I want to get away from
I want to
45.
get away from this
Wanna
fucking
get away.
freeway as being any facet of my life. Sorry. But anyway, I'm on 45, upset, frustrated, and I'm like, why are you frustrated? Ain't nothing you can do about it. You know, such and such and such. This is traffic, you know.
Yeah.
And some part of me was like, you're upset. It's fine.
Look at that.
Be upset.
Yes.
Look at
So
that.
you're big, you know, you got good music, yes, fine.
Yeah.
You know, but you're upset. That's fine. Run through that, sit in traffic, enjoy it, but you can still be upset.
Yeah.
You could be mad the traffic is
Right.
Right.
That's
It's
allowed.
annoying, right?
Right, yeah. And so I just, what happens is I didn't want to get more upset.
Yes.
Rehearsing the thought patterns of, why am I just,
Ooh, what does
I'm
that
going
sound
to be
like?
late. Such
Fear
and such and such.
of the emotion,
Right.
and not the emotion itself.
Right.
Because emotions run their course.
They run their
Right.
course.
It's like, okay,
But
I'm
we gotta
angry.
let them.
I'm upset. That's fine. And by the time I get to work, this will be,
Yeah.
you know, but this is it's as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm allowed to be upset about
And that's it, right? Like, and I think
Right.
even sitting with that emotion, it is easily traced back to wanting to control.
Yes.
Right? Like, and if you just sit with it long enough.
Right.
Because again, emotions are the indicator lights. They are not the engine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when your check engine light comes on, the light itself isn't the problem.
Right.
Your engine has something going on. So emotions are that.
But we just be trying to turn the lights off.
Right.
Right.
And it's like, no, let's go
tape
in
over the
and-
light.
Right.
Covering
Almost
over it with a
it.
Sharpie.
Or doing just enough to get the light to go off, which I could give an allegory about this, but or not allegory, a little story, but I don't want to talk about Holly in that way.
Okay. Understood.
Yes, Holly is my car.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so like this idea, right? And so we sit with that emotion long enough to say, oh, I am upset
Yeah.
because I am trying to control this scenario. And at the end of the day, I don't have control over this.
Oh my God.
So that's what gives you the relief to go, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I actually can't control it. I accept that. Let me turn on this good music
Right.
and let me let this emotion finish playing out. But we're not adding fuel to it.
Right.
Because you've sat with it, you know where it's coming from. You've looked at the engine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
You did a little inspection.
Right. And so you're like, oh, this is fine. This just needs to run its course out.
Yeah.
Right.
And once it runs out, this light will go off.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Man,
Yeah.
I have so many stories.
That's-
that is
that's
literally
exactly
life with a
what's
toddler.
Yes.
It's literally
I lost my absolute shit this week. And so my mom watches
Yeah.
Sid after, so I can go to the gym once a week. And typically she just goes over there, eats, and then we come home, right? And so I'm running through because I've gone to the gym, right? And I'm running through, I'm like, okay, it's 8:00. We can get home by 8:20. If I can get her in and out of the shower by 8:40, then I can get dinner and I can hopefully still be in the bed at a decent time, right? 'Cause this is at her normal bed. I'm usually doing this entire process at 7, not at 8, right? So it's all pushed back. And so we get home and I tell her in the car, because I know she struggles with transitions. I'm like, hey, we're going straight to the shower. She's like, I want to watch something. I was like, you can watch something when you go to bed. It's time to take a shower. So we walk in the door She goes to the couch and she goes, I'm hungry. And I said, absolutely not. That was my response.
You'll never be hungry.
Absolutely not. And she
Food?
was like,
What is that for you?
No, I'm hungry. And I lost it. I was like, move. Get in the shower.
Also, Christian's version of I lost it is not
That was it.
Some of y'all's parents.
That was
version.
it.
Let me
Right,
put
right.
What you just heard?
That's it.
Move. That was the end of it.
Yes, that's Christian losing it.
That was
just so we're clear. Again,
range.
Choir, listen,
Right,
choir,
don't call
mandated
CPS.
reporter here.
Right.
They're good.
That was the extent. It was louder, but that was it. Move.
Yeah.
And so she walks and she's crying. And I'm like, fuck. Is she hungry? She can't be hungry. She always eats so much at my mom's house. So much relative. Okay.
Yeah.
Like my mom, we discussed this in a bonus that y'all may get some point, but my mama has all the snacks. Okay.
Yes.
And so Cindy
Yes, you
just
will
be
get it.
excited about the snacks, which
Yeah.
I get. I go over there and be excited.
I ain't been to your mama's house in years, and I swear every time I go, I be excited about something.
There's always something.
She got something to munch on.
She has
Oh,
something for vegan, vegetarian. There's probably a snack for you.
Absolutely. I ain't never been over there and been snackless.
Never.
Never.
I might be mealless.
I was about to say, you may not have a meal to eat.
I'm about to get a vegetable in.
You could get a vegetable.
in.
Right.
But them snacks?
Yeah, them snacks be
Always.
it, right? So
I want y'all to know Christopher has his eyes closed. He's dreaming of these snacks.
He's
Look at
dreaming.
his head
I'm
shaking.
dreaming of a snack.
I'm a big boy. I love my snacks. What can I say?
Boy, back it up.
Oh, no.
Back
That's
it up.
hey, big girl.
I know it is.
What was mine? Mine's from a different song. I don't remember what song it is.
Absolutely not.
Like, we ain't backing
Back
nothing
in
up
Sapphire.
except a truck
The truck.
to get the snacks out.
Back in Sapphire into this parking lot. That's what we do.
Okay,
Get
that
some
part.
snacks.
So-
But anyway, she normally eats a lot at more than enough at my mom's house for me to not need to feed her when we get home. And so as I'm walking her to the room, she's like, "But I'm hungry." I'm hungry. And I was like,
Sweet chunkin'.
go use the bathroom. I will go call your grandmother. Because she kept at it. And I'm like, fine. So, and I gave her she has a nighttime gummy and she's chewing it and going, right.
Oh
And so
my God.
I get my phone and she's crying in the
It's the
background.
drama for me.
She's crying in the background and I'm calling my mom and I was like, Ma, did she eat? And she was like, she had some macaroni and cheese and apples. And I was like,
She might
okay,
be hungry.
when was that? And she was like, that was at, I think she said it was like 5 and at that point it was like 8:30.
yeah.
And I was like, is that all she ate? And she was like, yeah, my niece had come over. So they started playing. And so she didn't even have, normally she'll eat like a full bowl of macaroni and cheese. She only ate half of it. And she didn't eat the whole apple. She ate like 4 slices of the apple.
So she
And
was
I was
hungry.
like, fuck, she's hungry.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, why are you mad that your child is hungry? I was like, I'm not mad my child is hungry. And this is going on while I'm giving her a bath. And working through
Processing,
this. I'm
yes.
processing. And I was like, I am upset because I had a plan. And now I can't fulfill my plan. My plan has been messed up. And I was like, are you really that? Because at first I was like, oh, I'm just hungry. And I was like, are you really that hungry? I'm like, no, I'm not really that hungry. I had a plan and it's been disrupted.
Yes.
And I am frustrated because she is disrupting my plan.
As they do.
And I just wanted to execute my plan. I was trying to get in bed for 9:30 because I was tired.
Yeah.
And like in that moment, I was like,
And Daddy was at work.
and Chris, Chris
So where's the father? At work.
at work. He didn't get off till later, and he wasn't gonna be home for another 2 hours. So don't start
Just
that.
the two of them duking it out.
Right.
Tuesday to Thursday, we got to figure it out. And the only time it's a problem is Wednesdays because I go to the gym. Anyway, and so I'm like, and this might be moving into our next segment.
That's okay.
My first thought is, okay, well, Wednesday night gym is just not going to work, right? This happened the week before, something similar. And I was like, Wednesday night gym's just not going to work. I'll have to. And I told him that when he got home, I was like, hey, this is too much. It's too much drama. Like I feel compelled to try to control the schedule more rigidly because there's so much less time available for just me at night.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, well, maybe this. And he gives me a couple of suggestions. And it occurred to me in that moment, I was like, I never thought about asking anybody to help me fix this. I was just ready to give it up.
Yeah.
I was like, no, we're not going to give it up.
That would require vulnerability to say, hey, I'm struggling to figure this out.
Right. And so instead of me, instead
I
of
heard that when she said,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it no more. I was like, no, we're not going to do that.
Right. This is your you time. What the fuck are you talking about?
right. It's my one night during the work week.
Yeah.
That I'm not like that I get to go do something besides just mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and who did I tell? Mom and house wench.
Oh God.
Laundry
She
and
sounds
cooking.
hideous.
Sorry.
Laundry and cooking and
Yeah.
tidying and bathing the kids and putting them to bed. And
Yeah.
momming and house wench. That's kind of how I be feeling. I get to do something else.
So I be helping that.
I was like, yeah,
mean, but
Chris
you don't
also
think-
does things,
it's
but he's not there.
It's not that
Yeah.
he doesn't do anything. That's not what this is
Just
about.
trying to
Right?
add context to the new listeners.
That's not the point.
Right.
The point is not about what Chris does or doesn't do. It's about like the assignment that I have when I'm at home on a weeknight.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it's about, regardless of how much he does. And Chris does all the dishes before y'all get any kind of weird ideas.
Yes. There's equity here.
He does all the dishes. He be taking out the trash and sweeping the floors. So it's not like he ain't
Don't
doing
you do
it.
laundry sometimes?
We switched.
Oh, damn.
We switched.
Yes.
Damn. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, we switched.
You get one task and now you a winch. Wow. That's crazy.
The point was that instead of trying to move through and like I took the emotion and was like, I need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
That was my thought. I need to get rid of this emotion. And the way to get rid of this emotion is to stop doing the thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
That's basically where my brain went, right?
Yeah.
And, part of the reason for that, and this is a parent thing, I think, and it's probably a lot of caregiver thing, but I am the parent and I didn't feel it when I wasn't the parent. I can say that. I can say that. I feel it now and I did not feel it then.
This is new.
I'm like, I don't want to cause her damage.
Absolutely.
Because my emotions are out of control and I'm lashing out.
I don't think that's a parent thing.
But that's what I'm
That's
like.
how I feel about people.
But I don't be spending
Parents
enough
don't
time
seem
with
to
other
be
people's
getting
kids
it,
for
though.
that.
No, not kids. People.
People. What?
That's how I like
me and
that.
Chris,
Any less of a bitch that you perceive me as now is because of that. Like,
me and Chris have had this discussion, which is no bueno. However, I put so much more effort into not lashing out at Chris than I do into not lashing out in Sydney.
yeah, yeah.
It's a socialization thing. For whatever reason, my brain goes, you can yell at the tiny person, not the big one.
And I
Well,
would,
one is riskier.
and while I don't like
It
being
feels
yelled at,
riskier.
It is riskier.
Yeah.
Because
right.
like if he leaves,
Yeah.
right? Now you're a single parent, both of you,
Dear God.
right? And now we're splitting incomes. Now we're splitting household. It's more risky. Sydney, what's she gonna? Not don't do it. But like,
But what's she gonna do?
what's the consequence other than you've damaged her?
Right.
Which I think is huge.
Wait.
It's
Yes.
massive. But like in terms of risk of like immediate survival,
And like,
Right.
yeah. No.
yeah, it's riskier.
It is riskier.
That's
And I don't think that's a conscious thing that we talk about, but like
No.
that's why like
Right.
and even not only is it financially and like environmentally risky, it is also emotionally risky
Yes.
because y'all
Yeah,
are in an
it's
intimate
attachment,
partnership.
yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then if you lash out at him and then he leaves because somehow you are, I'm using air quotes, deficient.
right.
Right? Like, or you've done something wrong. Now that feeds a narrative, right?
Right.
Whatever the narrative is. And so it's risky on all fronts.
Right. Yeah, no, I get you have made a valid point.
Thanks. I do that sometimes.
And I appreciate you making that point because it makes me feel like less of an asshole to my kid. But I also want to put a similar amount of energy into treating her better.
Heard.
Right.
Agreed.
Both and.
Yeah, so she doesn't like end up being an asshole.
Preferable.
You know?
Yeah. So like when we
She's already an Aries. Listen, we're already fighting against the obstinates.
She got two Aries in the house.
I know, and you know what?
On either side of the
God really has called you one of his strongest. Truly has. Fortunately, you're not like a painful Aries. You're not. You can get Ariesy at times.
Yeah. And
But you're not so obstinate that it is like
No, he's
like you're not a toxic Aries.
no.
not obstinate.
No,
No.
I
Chris is not obstinate at all.
No.
used to be obstinate.
Well, that would track because you were an Aries.
I mean, you were also younger. Like, I feel
younger.
like obstinate. What do they say? Foolishness is bound up in the heart of the child. I think children they be pushing boundaries all the damn time.
Right.
So you may.
Have you met Aries adults? Some of them, not all of y'all. Some of y'all are lovely people. I'm not saying this. I'm sure somebody out here is an Aries and it's like, oh, she's going in. I'm not. Y'all, I have some good Aries people that I know they are not really in my friend circle. However, except Chris.
Yeah, my toxic trait is in a way controlling.
Mm-hmm. I got that one too.
I remember one time.
Maybe that's why I don't mind.
Me and she who
you got a strong.
She who will not be named.
We know.
I was trying to get out of.
I remember that story.
Get out of the house so we can go to church. And she's doing all this stuff and whatever.
Wait, who's this?
One of his exes.
Got you. Heard.
So
I'm back.
And so she's doing this, and then she
was on the computer.
She was on the computer trying to shut it down, and I was just like, just going to press and hold the power button, and it'll shut off.
We can go.
And now we can go. Because I've been telling you.
That nigga want to fight.
Nigga want to go.
Because listen, hold up.
Yeah.
Now I'm a Libra. I believe in peace, but I also believe in justice, which means inherently in my soul, or maybe not in my soul, deep in my personality, I'm a vindictive queen. And what that would have meant.
And I was like.
Because also Aries and Libra are opposite signs, sister signs. And so what would have happened? You would have did that. And I promptly would have went back, got undressed.
And laid back in the bed.
Absolutely. Been like, have a good time.
Yeah.
What you just told me is you don't want to go no fucking where with me.
Not with me.
Go to church. You know what? I think you should go pray about this.
Yeah. Well, see, it was the thing because I got that point because I was like, you know what? You don't care about me or my time because we got to your church when we were supposed to get to. And then now, when it's time to transition to my church,
you had a little attitude, a little chip on the shoulder.
I had a little chip, and that only again that part of me only comes out when
absolutely
when
we feel wrong.
When I feel wrong,
yeah,
and so
that's true for most of us.
All right, let me help you.
Right?
Yeah, help.
Not you fixing it. I'm a fix. But you know what? Sidebar, I just realized my country ass family, like my granny and my big mama used to say, you know what? I got a good mind to fix him. I got a good mind to fix. And it's like, no, wait a minute. That's literal. I thought it was just like a country saying.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like, I got a good mind to fix him good. Like if you're going to do something to prove a point.
Yeah.
Or like to get that person together because you have perceived that they have wronged you, you're going to fix them right up.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just, it never occurred to me that like, oh no, you're fixing your feeling. That's what's happening. Yeah. You feel wrong and you're like, oh, I'm about to write this.
I can
I'm about to rebalance this motherfucking scheme.
I can solve this problem.
Yes.
This could be resolved.
Probably like the thing I just remember. I was just like, this is not great.
Yeah.
I don't like I know.
That's but listen, I can't talk because young Whitney.
Oh.
Hey.
Young Sheldon, young Whitney.
Yay.
Young everybody.
Young Whitney is.
Yeah.
Listen, very loving. Don't cross her.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cross. Listen, depending on the day, I do pretty good these days because I see the humanity.
Yeah.
But
and I have to. And I reel that in, learning how to reel it in, even with Sydney.
Yeah.
There are certain things I try to do and things like that. And I would call it parental override.
Yeah.
So now you're not doing what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Parental override.
Okay.
Right.
So the book.
So go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not going to grab it. I was about to grab it. So one of the things he talks about is Gary Zukav, the seat of the soul. One of the things he talks about is like when you're a 5 sensory human being, you perceive power as external. Versus being a multisensory human being that actually understands that power is completely internal. And so even thinking about this, right? Like sometimes action-wise, you have to parental override. Like, don't you run your ass in that street.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like there are certain things action-wise, but like in terms of controlling emotions, situations, it's like, no. Then you've perceived like a power imbalance. And now I'm in a power struggle with a fucking 4-year-old or almost 4-year-old. How did you get there? The only way to get there is if you're perceiving the power as external. Like she is now taking my power away to have the schedule that I want.
Right.
And it's like, no. That power is actually internal because you made that up. And so is there another way, as you have explored, is there another way to actually get all these needs met differently?
Yeah. And I mean,
that's crazy because
and that's the internal power.
Right. And it's crazy because we now cross into that threshold of reconciling harm from caregivers.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're talking about like trying not to make our child feel whatever or induce, dramatics, whatever. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, right? So I don't want to scare my kid.
Yeah.
That's
Unless it's about the street. I fully commit to scaring Sydney about cars in the road.
Likewise.
Stoves, but like
knives.
Yeah, I want to teach her to use the knives.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
Yes, how to wheel that. But
How to
cars
wheel
in the
it.
street.
Yeah.
You little. We can't see you.
That's
Right.
and them people be.
That has
flying
been one of my biggest arguments with Sydney.
Yeah, same. She's better about it
Crossing the
now.
fucking street.
When we cross the street, you hold my hand.
Yes.
Hard stop. That's not an option.
That was when we had the argument because
Yeah.
she snatched her hand.
And she does it.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
done it, but she's done it.
And I was
around
like-
the time she did it to you, she did it to me.
And I was like,
and I almost went
ma'am,
horse
so
trying to
we,
snatch.
listen. And so we crossed, and I was like, Whitney, you got to pull it together right now. She is 3. You are not about to enter a power struggle with a 3-year-old.
Right. And
I'm
so
about
like,
to say, I'm about to say, no, don't pull it. That's the street.
Yeah, I mean, we got out of the street.
Okay.
but
My attitude was not great.
Oh,
but we made it.
And so once we got to the side, I collected my attitude
Gotcha. Understand.
and was like, and then I got down low, and then I needed help getting up. Thank God my sibling was there. But I got down low, and we had a conversation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
About why we don't do
Why
that.
we don't do that. And like, I understand that you're upset with me right now, and you totally get to do that.
You can be upset.
That's
You can
fine.
hold my hand while we walk across the street.
Correct. You get to be upset. I'm okay with you being mad at me. I don't love you any less.
So I mean, like that's the part of like trying not to cause harm.
Right.
Right.
But a lot of us have already had harms done upon us.
If we're at our big ages,
had harms, imparted upon us by those who were in charge of taking
Right.
care.
absolutely.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are listening who are in the exact same situation.
Absolutely.
So how do we go about like reconciling that? I mean, especially if I think it's one thing when I can like go to Sydney and apologize for a thing.
Yes.
Right.
But it's like parents of 40-year-olds probably ain't coming and asking for apologies.
Right. Especially when they thought they were right and still
Assuming
think
they're
right.
still with us.
I was like, that's not my mama, and I'm grateful.
Right?
She got other things, but
right.
I'm
So
gonna
they
apologize.
may or may not.
Mhm.
Even if they do, the harm is still
it's done.
done.
Right.
Now, what do we
Well, how do
What
we
do we
do
do?
it? Right?
Right.
what do
So-
we do?
And so it's interesting. I always say that, like, oh yeah, my mom is quick to apologize, but my mom's so quick to apologize. What's slower is change behavior, which has led to my whole thing of like, oh, I trust what you do, not what you say.
Right.
I've been that way my whole life, like to the point where I used to hate words of affirmation because I'd be like, shut up.
Right.
I believe you.
I don't believe a thing you say, do it. I have grown out of that, thank goodness. But
Yeah. Now my mom's like that. Was like that. Apology is wasteful, and she did it to the extent that she didn't apologize for anything.
That doesn't feel
wait,
helpful.
what do you
She
mean?
felt like
She felt like it was pointless to
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
no.
Now she didn't see, and maybe 1 or 2 times she may have apologized, but I don't remember them. I'm just
Gotcha.
going to give her that ground for that.
Yeah.
But her philosophy on
Generosity.
apology, right?
her general philosophy on
General
apologies.
philosophy on apology was very much.
They weren't worth anything.
Oh,
They're not worth anything because.
Mhm. I had a friend say that to me
Yeah.
once. A friend who has since come
But
back.
I
and
would
made a
have
big
loved
apology,
it,
but-
especially when times when you were being fucking mean to me for no reason.
Right. Like, why were you doing that?
I would've
No,
appreciated that.
that's really it. I had a friend say that because I'm very quick to apologize.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just like, oh, I want to fix it, which I had somebody
Mm-hmm.
say to me once. Like, you just want to fix it. I was like, no. I believe in taking accountability. And so for me, the first step is saying, like, oh, I might not have intended that, but I see I see what you're saying. I see the impact of it. I apologize.
Right.
Like, and then can we work from there? Because like for me, unless you genuinely apologize,
What's the point?
what's the conversation?
Yeah,
Right.
Nah, it's
Then we just gonna go back and forth. Anybody got time for that?
exactly. I got like that at one point in my relationship with God, and I would be like, doing the same thing over and over again, or wrestling with my humanity,
Yes.
in certain ways,
Yes.
and feeling like I needed to repent or ask God for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was like, you know what, God, I don't think I'm done with this,
Right.
and
I'm
I'm not
gonna stop
going
apologizing
Save
now.
it
to
up.
stop apologizing.
Yeah.
I mean, because like this whole grieving and I'm tired of it.
Right.
You not tired?
Right.
Do you want to hear this again?
You don't? Yeah.
Yeah.
You need my reheated
When I'm
spaghetti
ready-
prayer.
When I'm ready to let this go, right? When I'm ready to let this go, I'll be on the path.
Yeah, I'll come back. But
But-
right now,
Yeah.
I'm not sorry.
I'm not
Well,
gonna do
because-
repeat prayers because I'm not a compulsive person. I don't need to do compulsory behavior to
Yeah.
function.
yeah.
So
Right.
I was like, this is old.
Right. And
We're like, how many years we've been at this? This is old now.
And I think that's it. And so, like, for me, while I value apologies, I deeply value apologies. It's one of those things like, if there is no changed behavior,
Yeah.
you got 2 times. And that's old Whitney. You might got one, okay? Because I'm, grace.
Yeah.
I've been known for being too gracious. I went from being not gracious at all to a little too gracious sometimes. And I'm like, no, if we clear, you get one.
Right.
You get one. And then the conversation, depending on the value of the relationship, it's going to shift.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's either going to go deeper and we're going to have to get into what the fuck is really going on.
Right.
And then behavior still got to change.
At some point,
If the behavior don't change, the relationship will. Because boundaries. That's one thing my mama said. My mama's like, you're so good with boundaries. And she knows this because she's been on the receiving end of so many of them.
So that sounds like a big part of healing.
It is.
Setting some boundaries.
So this is, and I will walk you through my journey with this. Because, I got two parents. I know we all do.
That's kind of how genetics work.
I have two biological parents, and one of them is worse than the other. And my mama is by far the least problematic of my two parents. But I say by far, and she least problematic. And so basically I have situations where, and my dad has passed. And so I have situations where there are things with a person like you could never talk to about because they would scapegoat to God and be like, well, that's under the blood of Jesus. I don't have to apologize for these big traumatic things you should probably be in jail for, like things, because that's under the blood of Jesus. I don't have to talk about
Who
that.
does that sound like?
Jesus Christ.
My daddy?
Oh,
okay.
Continue.
So I was just like, him.
Well, no.
But that's my closest point of reference, right?
Yeah. No, I got you.
So this parent that refuses to apologize.
Yeah.
And then I have a parent who over apologizes, but doesn't have enough fortitude to like change behavior.
Yeah.
And so the parent that never apologized was, I will say, the easiest, and it's still the easiest to contend with mentally and emotionally, because it's like, you are who you are.
Yeah.
And now that you're dead, there is no change. Right. And so we're not changing the relationship on this side, like in the earthly plane. That's not real.
Right.
And so I get to choose my relationship to you in death.
Right.
Because you can't rebut me. And that's my favorite part. That is my favorite part of my dad being dead. Dead Dad Club, DDC holding it down. Is that like, what you gonna do, argue?
No, not anymore.
You want to argue?
I can't. I'm not arguing with you. You dead. You big dead.
I'm not arguing with you.
I'm happy.
Wow.
Leave me alone. But and I will say, because I'm woo-woo, like my dad is
for a medium that's rich. I'm sorry.
It literally. So we have actually had to do a lot of work, right? But I ain't got to hear your voice, and you can't threaten me. And so, which that was a real happy dance, because like also my granny already said she's stronger than you. So
There you go.
There we go.
like my granny. But like the boundaries when he was alive that I set with him were a lot easier, because it's like, y'all remember that episode of Fresh Prince where Tyra Banks and Fresh Prince are arguing? You ain't never gonna change. Oh no, oh yes I am. Oh no, you're not. Right. That is that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, instead of doing that stupid ass argument with you, like I'm just not. And so like before my dad got sick, I had gone no contact.
Right.
And that was hard for my mom, because they were still married and they still lived together at some point. And then they didn't, and then they did again. And that was not my business, because I didn't live there, and no longer did my sibling. And so I was like, y'all can duke it out. I'm going to be over here at my house where the bills are paid in not y'all's name. And you know who won't be here? Him.
Not invited.
Not invited. And literally, this was my concession. I was like, well, mama, because my mom would come and spend holidays, because my sibling would come home and spend holidays from college, big age gap.
Yeah.
And so I remember the first year, I think this was the year after I got married, this was the year I laid down the rule. And I had already laid it down for my personal home, but like for our family home, I was like, this is going to carry. And I had talked to my ex-husband about it, my husband at the time, about it. He was like, that actually makes me feel a lot safer, because I was really trying to figure out how I was going to handle the volatility of like y'all's situation. Yeah. And I was like, you won't, because I'm not
no handling required.
I'm not doing it. I'm not about to, nigga.
Ain't going back and forth with you, nigga.
Right. And so I remember telling my mom, I was like, he's not welcomed here. My concession, you can take him a plate.
There you go.
But he is not welcomed here.
He can't come in my space.
He cannot come to my house. So at some point on Thanksgiving, my dad drove trucks. And so at some point on Thanksgiving, my mom literally is on the phone with this man, which I was like, that feel like he in my house, but I can't control. Even though I paid the phone bill, I can't control this because it's her phone, right?
Right.
Now, I could shut it off temporarily, but I'm petty, ain't that?
Girl.
Yeah, right.
I consider these things, but I don't do them, you know?
Right.
The petty is in me.
I gotta let these thoughts pass.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but I was just like, okay. And then she was like, yeah. And she put them on speakerphone. Meanwhile, I'm going to go upstairs. I actually got some shit I need to do up there anyway.
Yeah.
Before other people come. And so then she was like, she literally was just like, oh yeah, I came back. She was like, yeah, let me get the address from Whitney. I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, no.
Absolutely not.
And I looked at her and I said, you will not be doing that. And she was like, what? And I was like, I have already made this clear with you.
He is not invited.
He is not welcomed in this home.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to go, you can go.
But he can't come here.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got in her feelings. That's not my business. Because this is a year in progress already.
Right.
This ain't new.
Exactly.
So why did you think because I got married,
it was gonna
shit was gonna change? Yeah, he was at the wedding. Cool.
Right.
He was.
You know, both my parents walked me down the aisle.
It was a very nice picture.
You know, at that point, I don't think we were no contact. We were less contact.
Mm.
But then he started being nicer when he was like, "Oh, you gonna be another man's problem?" Yeah. It was. My dad was a piece of work.
He said that to you?
No, but that was
the energy.
That was absolutely like my dad did not even call to check on me until I got married.
Oh, wow.
Like I heard from this nigga on my birthday, which is 5 days after his. It's the only reason why he remembered.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so like that was easy to put down these boundaries, right? Because it was just like, there's not anything. I remember telling my mom this. I was like, I have tried everything in my power. Even after I got married, there was a period where we're like, okay, well, we can talk. We don't have to be around each other, but we're going to try this reconciliation thing. And we would talk every so often and it would be awkward. There was one moment where we had like a genuine conversation. I was like, wow, I'm really sad for you. Right. But I could see him, I think, for the first time or for the like second time. And yeah, and so we would try that, but it was just like, yeah, but like you got non-act right in your spirit, and I don't know what's gonna set it off. Like
You got mad issues.
he got mad issues.
Yeah, you haven't worked through
to
that
misuse. Yeah,
Every opportunity to right your wrong.
that part literally.
Calls
That's my
it
dad,
wrong.
and so
Mm.
did they write it about him anyway?
Wow.
Right, and so like that was simple, right? And I think because we both had static,
It was
just
it
like
was a lot more clear and clean cut.
Yeah.
For you to
Right.
figure out how to dice it up.
Exactly, and he didn't really force the issue because at the end of the day, he felt how he felt, right?
Right.
My mom
Right.
is different because it's a complicated situation,
Yeah.
right? It feels like it's less complicated the older I get, but in my early 20s or even in my early 30s, it was really complicated because it was like, you are harmful and loving. What do I do with that?
Mm.
And I think that's the case for a lot of parents.
I think that's probably
Ambivalence.
the most common.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that combination?
It's not ambivalence.
Oh, okay.
My mom's is not ambivalent.
Oh no.
It
She's
is.
very concerned.
No,
Yes.
I'm talking about, I guess, having mixed feelings.
It's
about
mixed
Oh,
feelings, but that's
yeah.
different than
Okay.
ambivalence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mixed emotions. about
Yes.
it. That's what you meant.
Conflicting
Right.
emotions, right?
emotions.
And so there are moments where I've had to put boundaries on particular I've talked about this.
Topics.
Particular topics
Yeah.
with my mom. Or particular, like, okay, this is how much time we can spend together before this shit goes left.
Mm.
Right? Or before you start projecting.
Wow.
Or before I'm gonna get irate.
So this is
That's-
I was gonna ask a question.
Go ahead,
So
go
how
ahead,
did
go
you
ahead.
figure out like what the topic was or what the time is? You know what I'm saying? Like how I'm sure it's just like a process of this keeps happening type thing or
Yeah. It's when you walk away, your chest is tight.
Whew. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know, like anything, you feel it. This is not a complicated thing. When, when some shit sucks, you feel it in your body wherever you may feel it. And so if every time like we talk about a particular thing, you committed to not understanding.
Yeah.
And
I
I feel like I'm like either
I
about to
twitch.
lose it or yell or whatever.
Right.
Or we get into a screaming match.
Whew, for me,
Or you
like,
get to crying, which my mom would be weaponizing tears. Bless her
and
heart.
the heat rises up on the back of my neck.
You know, and for me, I can feel my shoulders crawl up. So my chest gets tight, my shoulders get closer to my earlobes.
Which they've got a distance to go. So
You know, wow, are you calling me a giraffe?
I am
That's
not. You have a great
hilarious.
neck.
You have a graceful
You can
neck.
you can wear amazing earrings.
I can. I don't.
and
but I can.
I can't. They be touching my shoulders and I hate it.
Oh, that's fair.
I hate the feeling of earrings touching my shoulders. Like it's like they're dragging. Ugh.
I kind of like it. It tickles a little.
Oh.
Yeah. But back when I used to wear big danglies, but I stopped wearing them because they got caught in my hair.
That's how I feel.
Well, you ain't got to worry about that no more.
Yeah, but I don't got them no more.
Oh, fair.
I got rid of them because they used to
I got some big danglies. I don't will. Because they
danglies.
touch my shoulders.
I have a couple of danglies that are not that like long enough to touch. But anyway, but yeah. And so like when you feel the tension or the discomfort in your own person,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, there is something here.
Right.
Sometimes that happens even, and I think for me, when it really got loud was when I decided there were parts of myself, the first round of therapy in my 20s, right? When I was like, oh, there are some narratives that are not serving me. And when I look back over my life
And I think
things over, this belongs in my parents' doorstep. This is their shit.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, no. I need a boundary around these things because you the problem.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and while I'm sorting this out, I cannot have you in my detox
head.
myself while you're feeding me poison.
Yeah.
That's not real.
God.
Say that again.
I forgot God on
have to?
today.
You don't. I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
You can't detox while somebody is feeding you poison.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You can't.
That is exactly
Man.
why.
That's how you heal right
I
there.
went no contact with my mom
Yeah.
at the end of it all until she died.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact I was like, you know what? I'm at a very vulnerable space in my life between my 20s and 25s and 30s. And it's like, I'm still trying to figure out me right now and get myself online. And I can't do that while you doing stuff that pulls me back into
Exactly.
a sense of self that is distorted and disjointed because I'm still trying to figure out me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm still trying to live by, principles at the time that were being handed to me in a way that are, give me life and build up my sense of self.
Right.
It was hard.
Yeah.
But for me, especially at that time, what I needed to do for certain family members at the time made it clear to me that this is what needed to happen.
Yeah.
So I can't do that without
Exactly.
it. You've positioned yourself between me and other family members in a way that made me automatically choose these people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in doing so, I'm also choosing me
Right.
because I also need to be away from you to kind of get my own head right.
Correct.
So,
it's like playing blocks with toddlers, right? Yeah. Like you trying to build a tower.
They just keep knocking
and they
it down.
just,
knocking it over, and it's just like,
It's like, I can't build this while you in the room.
Wow.
I got to close the door so I can build this tower.
right.
Because it's got to get built.
It's
And if
gotta
I
get
put in my supports before you come back in, you could try to knock it over and it won't.
It won't.
built. Right. Exactly.
So, and I mean, that's the next part, right?
And that's because I was going to talk about forgiveness and what that looks like embodied.
Ooh. Forgiveness for whom?
Forgiveness for the people that have wronged you. And I'll get into it. But the way that we, like you said, talk about forgiveness even now, because it's very a literal interpretation of what the Bible is. Yeah. But we have to remind ourselves, even when we approach the Bible, that the map is not the territory.
Come on.
That
the map is not the territory.
There's so many things that we have written down in the past that we try to adhere rigidly to. That's divorced from context, divorced from the time in which they're written.
Divorced from change.
Divorced from change.
Yeah.
Talking about maps.
We don't understand that the landscape has changed. And even though, yes, the map is here and we see the borders and stuff like that.
All that shit can
you
change.
You don't catch the hills, you don't catch the valleys, you don't catch the peaks.
Any destruction that's come since that was last captured.
You don't catch the hurricane.
You don't catch the freeways that came through now.
Mudslides.
Right. You don't catch all of that because you have to walk the territory. And so while the map may say forgive, you got to walk that out.
Absolutely.
And forgiveness doesn't look like how it's described in the Bible. Or on paper, because
it's a process.
It's a process. It's real life happening. And what you talked about even now about how you're able to still have an existing relationship with your mom, even with, you loved me and you also harmed me.
Yeah.
How do I reconcile the two? How can I honor both?
Yeah.
How can I honor the good in you and the potential and the potential in me that I'm still yet finding out?
Yeah.
And like you said, and so you have to, like you said, bring up those boundaries, those things in yourself that makes a relationship with people that are still figuring out their own shit, navigable.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but you're talking about like walking out forgiveness,
Right.
I think when you said it's not like what the Bible describes,
It's
typically,
right. It's not about it. It's
which would be what?
Releasing, like how we've
Throw it into the sea of forgetfulness.
Throw it into the sea of forgetfulness.
Forgetting. Okay.
Forgive and forget. And, we should be all good, even though you've harmed me. I should always have this cheery disposition every time you slander my name or something in my face. I should always keep this facade that you're not bothering me in a way
I am
that's really harming me, that I don't get to hold grudges.
Though I'm intrigued by the way that you're talking about it for two reasons. One, I never thought that the Bible was telling me I had to smile in your face. Me. I never thought that.
I would agree with that.
However, I was socialized to do that.
Yes.
Right? And so I think that's what you're describing.
Yes. I mean, and I imply that because when Peter talks about, with Jesus talking about, how many times if my brother offended me, how many times should I forgive him? 7 times? And, Jesus like, no, Peter.
70
times 7.
Yeah.
70 times 7. And for them, that just means, completeness. It's not 490 times.
Right.
But he's basically, the way it's written, you don't get a lot of nuance into what that looks like every time somebody offends you.
Yeah.
Right. And what
You just be like, oh, okay, I'll just.
Yeah. And it's not preached with like the doctrine of accountability.
No.
Right? Because I feel like accountability is in the Bible. It's preached separately from forgiveness, but the two things go together. Also, there are natural consequences for actions, right?
Right.
And so with forgiveness, which I have a weird relationship with forgiveness that I'm still walking out.
Yeah.
Because I think part of it is for my personal orientation of like, I have a religion of love. Like that is it, which requires me to like see your person.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, even as I say, like have worked through and mostly have worked through a lot of the things with my dad post him being gone. It's that it's really humanizing him, even though he didn't act like a human all the time. It's humanizing him and saying, this is how you got there. What it is not doing is excusing his behavior, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have regrets about, like, my dad died. My dad was sick, and he didn't even try. He didn't speak to any of us about it. He literally went back to his birth family,
and stayed over
which
there.
was in the same city, if we can be clear.
But stayed over there.
And stayed over there, and then just like got sick and died. And like my auntie let us know. So we knew something was happening, but he got mad at her for that, right?
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where like, oh, this is not, again, we're not going to be able to handle that here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't be able to do this in concert with you.
Yeah.
Not in your not in your personage.
Yeah.
Right? And it is, so I don't have any regrets. I don't, like, people say that, oh my God, you're going no contact with your parent. What happens if something happens? Then they die, bitch, or I die. Like, what do you mean? Then that's the end, and we can work through it a different way.
Yeah, there's an assumption that the loss of contact is greater than the potential for harm.
Right. And for me, that was not the case.
Yeah.
Like there's a consensus in my family that when my daddy passed, we all felt relieved.
Yeah. No, we had this discussion. I remember that.
Yeah.
There was an exhale.
Yeah. Like I ain't cried about it to this day.
Yeah.
Like it literally was like, remember, because he died before we went to Cuba. Yeah. And I was like, I'll grieve in Cuba. I'll figure it out in Cuba. And I got to Cuba and was like, there's nothing to do. I'm having a great time. It's hot as fuck.
It was
like, like that's, because they're like, I had grieved that man before he died. I grieved that man
I said the
years
same
before he
thing
died.
about my grandma.
Exactly.
I did cry when
different
I found out.
circumstances.
Yeah, no, completely different.
Yeah.
But I said the same thing about my grandma. My grandma had a protracted disease.
Yes.
She died of old age, I guess technically, but she had dementia.
It was a long road, yeah.
Yeah, and so she was in nursing home for
a decade,
5-6 years.
Was it not a decade? I thought did she have dementia for a decade?
No, that girl, the beginning of that story is weird. She was in the nursing home for about 7 years, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite a decade. It was pushing it though. But for us, it was like, oh, she's gone. But it's like, that granny kind of been gone.
Right. Like she's now physically gone.
Yeah,
but she hasn't been herself.
Right.
For a long time. Yeah. So I understood from that perspective when you said, whew, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we can actually move forward, right? Because like we're in this limbo.
Yeah.
And for me, the limbo was of it honestly was of my mother's making, but it was just this constant limbo. And it's like now finally, now we can actually start to close shit out.
Yeah.
Right? Which I thought. But what ended up happening is that I had to go on a forgiveness journey for myself, for my dad, that I think I had been taught to divorce those two, forgiveness and accountability. And because I held it for so long that I was like, no, somebody
must pay.
Somebody must remember.
Yeah.
Because the issue is my mama don't remember traumatic events. The way her brain works
understand
and
that.
has always worked, it just shuts it off. Right. So there's so many things that we're not about to cry. There's so many things that have happened in I'm really not about to cry. I'm okay. Sorry, she was handing me tissue.
No, I got him close.
But like there are so many things that have happened in my life that he and I were the only witnesses to that remembered.
Yeah.
He would never admit it. My mama couldn't remember. And by the time like my sibling was born, they were asleep half the time. Praise God.
Yeah, missed out on
Right.
that.
And so there's a couple where like people saw the immediate like you have seen the immediate aftermath, right? So you know I'm not lying.
Oh, I know you're not lying.
Same with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
Like, people have seen the immediate aftermath, but nobody was in that moment.
Nobody
that,
was
like
there.
would admit to the fact that the moment happened.
I heard some of it. You called me once, and I heard some of it. That's
Right.
the closest I got.
Yeah.
And
There are police reports.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying.
There are CPS reports because my granny filed one. You know what I'm saying? And so like there are things.
But you wanted somebody to remember.
I needed some. I felt like if I let it go, then that was it.
Right. And that's the thing too. And I was watching this movie, Exhibiting Forgiveness, and at the very beautiful movie.
It sounds beautiful. The title is nice.
So it was about an artist and working through his own pain with his own father.
Yeah.
Who actually came back into his life later on. And then I think the mom died. She brought him back into his life because she was on her way out.
Got it.
And she wanted them to
Try to
reconcile in some way. And, and there's a lesson in that you can't really force that.
And of course not.
And there was a very explosive scenes. The proving the point is like, look, you cannot, because number one, whatever you're trying to bring out, it's going to come back at you.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you the truth, in that moment, that scene actually accelerated her own death. But at the end, he said one very memorable line. It's like, look, I forgive you for what you've done to me. We're good. But I can't forget what you did to my mom.
Yeah.
And so he was like, look, it doesn't mean whatever you needed from that is what you got. But the future belongs to my wife and my kid. You don't have a future right now. We don't have a future.
That's real.
And that's what you wanted. I'm sorry. I can't get it to you because I can't forget what you did to my mom.
Yeah.
And then he handed me like a piece of his, piece of our art from the museum at the exhibit and say, hey, put this in your prayer closet. Because father's like, look, I'll never stop praying for you. Whatever. And, the father turned his life around. Trying to. But again, the damage was done. And then even there was points throughout the movie that showed that he hadn't even fully processed the trauma that he inflicted on his son. Further proving that he's untrustworthy of a future.
Well, and that's it. That's the consequence.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the consequence of the
natural
action.
consequence of that.
And so I think that was also my thing, is that I felt like their consequences weren't paid.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but were they? Because consequences are not always what you think they are.
No.
And so,
Right.
and I strongly believe in karma, and sometimes you got to come back and do this shit again.
Right.
And Godspeed to you.
Yeah. And I had another thought, because that brought up some ideas around this current climate of trying to even redeem someone like Hitler.
Yes.
Revisionist history and all that stuff.
We don't have to do.
And it's like, we don't have to do that. Number one, I don't look, people say, is Hitler in hell? If you don't believe in Jesus Hitler, it's like, look, I don't care what Hitler has done.
That's between
him and God
Yeah.
in the other realm. I don't need the concept of hell for God to be just.
Correct.
But
Correct.
whatever he's decided on, that's what he did. I don't need to redeem him for what he's done in this life.
Correct.
I'm not going
In history, we need to always remember him as a maniac and as a cautionary tale. We don't need to redeem his memory.
Yeah.
Whoever he is with God now, that's who he is with God now.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
But
he
wreaked havoc here, and we don't need to forget it.
And we don't need to forget it. And we're forgetting it because we're now re-inflicting the same kind of shit on other marginalized peoples
Or the same ones.
or the same
Well,
ones.
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, so that forgiveness does not mean it is releasing the power of harm over
Yes.
that person's life and allowing space for healing. It is more for you.
That's
it is
literally
100%
like
for you.
absolve that person.
That's
and give them
literally
peace.
it.
No, it's for you to have peace so that you're not held captive
Yes,
by the
their
power
actions.
of their actions.
And I think if we view Jesus's words in that light, keep yourself free.
Yes.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much they keep yourself free.
Free.
No, but
They can't put you in bondage unless you let them.
Here's the thing. That is a thing like I feel like I had heard at some point, but could not operationalize until
Yeah.
I had to operationalize.
Right.
No, I get
And
that.
I couldn't operationalize it because I think in order to fully understand forgiveness, there's a process you must go through with yourself. Right? So it's not just like, yeah, forgive other people. I don't blame myself for anything. Neither one of my parents did because that wasn't my business. That was their shit, right?
Indeed.
But there are the ways in which I carried that as part of my narratives or part of my beliefs or self-concept, right? That may have caused me more damage.
Yeah,
Did, right?
Right.
Fortunately, not like life-altering damage. Well, yes, but not in a way that was so destructive that I haven't been able to function. Sometimes, because trauma can have that effect on people.
Yeah, of course.
And I feel very privileged to have had enough protective factors for that not to be my story.
yeah.
Praise God. Ooh, praise God. I'm not about to go and shout, but I feel it in my spirit. I've been shouting all week. I just want y'all to know, shouting and singing all week. When I think about you and what he's done for me.
Hey.
When I think about you and how you set me free, I can dance
all night.
That's how I feel. But the ways in which not only that I have held myself captive, but shit, then turned around and inflicted pain on others in lesser ways, obviously.
Right.
But like, it's just like, oh no, you did that because this is how you process that. And now I got to forgive me.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have to
Right.
forgive myself. I might have apologized and like, oh, I want this person to forgive me. And they may never, right? But like, I have to forgive me for even the little shit that I done. Like the little shit, like that time I went off on Maurice in the 8th grade, even though he earned it. Like,
Yeah, I slapped a dude with my lunch kid one time.
you know what I'm saying?
He was being
That
a little
felt very like deserved.
Yeah, because Christian not violent at all.
Oh, she ain't about
And
that life.
like looking back on it, it was not that dramatic. He was getting on my last nerve.
Yeah, that's how that works.
He was getting on my last nerve, and I smacked him. And then later on, I found out his mama was dying from cancer, and I felt so bad.
And I think that is it, right?
So bad.
So this is what I mean when
You're
I
acting
say
out from somewhere.
right. Everyone is.
Yeah.
And so I think that when I talk about considering another person's humanity, it is
Right.
that. It is that I don't actually know what's happening in the other part of your story. We could live in the same house, and I
Right.
don't know what the fuck is happening in the other part of your story. What I do know is that maybe your behavior is harmful, and we can talk about that.
Yes.
Right. We can draw boundaries around that.
Right.
But I don't have to make a judgment about you.
And
that is what the lesson of forgiving my dad has taught me.
Yeah.
Like that has been the journey
Yeah.
of like our posthumous journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of like, yeah, I can see the trauma that because my dad had a traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
And so it's like I can see that and I often when I think of him as that little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is one of those things. I remember reading All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he was the first person that came into mind. And it broke my heart for who he was. And I was like, he never knew love.
Yeah.
Man.
He didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
So how was he all he had was facsimiles of love.
Right.
And they got distorted.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm tearing up, but I'm good.
But that's
But
that's where forgiveness comes. It comes
Yes.
in the soil of patience and understanding.
compassion.
Exactly.
And so it's like I
Right.
can, and that is when I learned forgiveness for me looks like holding compassion for his humanity while also allowing him to be held accountable by whatever standards, gods, whomever who are in charge. I remember saying this to my sibling. I was
Right.
like, because I had an epiphany. This is my life. I wake up, I have epiphanies. I wake up, messages get dropped. And I like remember, was Haley living here? Maybe. And yes, because I think I came downstairs and I was like, I just realized I'm not the person that has to hold him accountable. I don't have to do this.
No.
this is not on me. This is not
your
my job.
That's not your job.
Like, but I feared even as a kid, because my mama like half-ass held him accountable.
Yeah.
Right? Like she wanted to do more. She's really upset about it now. But like what she was equipped with then, there were so many other dynamics happening, right? And so like I felt like at the time, if I didn't do it,
nobody would.
Right.
When that wasn't true then, right? Because I strongly believe in a higher power. God has got it. I don't have to get it.
And in a way, you really can't.
You can.
Because it's not your job.
It's literally,
you know.
And so the day I let that me to like hold him accountable go was the day I actually started to forgive.
Yep. There you go.
Because like I couldn't do that without that process.
Like when we're talking about trying to go to heal, right? This is a huge part of it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is dealing with past hurts, particularly from caregivers, but it can include all sorts of people.
It can.
Often
does.
And the process is going to sound like a lot of what they already talked about, right? But what you just said, oops, sorry about that, y'all. What you just said really makes me think of what you just said was like you had to forgive yourself for a lot of different things, right? And you have to start valuing your own humanity.
Absolutely.
And forgiving your own mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we've talked about this before. You like to talk about instead of being mad at younger Whitney or like, oh, I need to kill off this old person.
We don't do that.
No. We integrate.
Yes.
Right.
1,000%.
We intentionally like look at that younger self and go, you are safe. You did the best you could with the tools that you had.
Exactly.
And these are the ones that we're going to use moving forward. Like that kind of energy. And I think that's really important. And that's a lot of, I did not, my childhood.
Come on, childhood.
Right.
It was a childhood.
My
God, today.
My childhood was not the kind of dramatic or traumatic that Whitney or Chris have experienced. And so a lot of my focus tends to be on like dealing with the narratives that play in my head with the way that I interact with my kid. So when I say I lost my shit and Whitney is like giving context, most people wouldn't say me going move is me losing my shit.
Correct.
Right? But for me, the elevation in my voice, the energy that I had behind it indicates a loss.
A dysregulation.
Right.
A disarray on my part that I was acting out on my kid.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a reminder, and I do this with my therapist a lot. She's reminding me, you are growing too.
Yes.
Right.
And so when you do things that you don't like, that you think you wish were different, you also deserve grace.
Yes.
And you deserve to process all of these things because you are not a terrible person for this thing. You are not a bad mom for this thing, which, that's a loud track.
Yeah.
That's a loud track. Not like bad mom, but you're not as good of a mom as you could be, right?
But yes.
But I mean, I didn't say it was right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just wanted to confirm that I disagree with that track.
Yeah, we are affirming.
We've seen you parent.
We're amplifying.
We disagree.
But again,
I'm
like
learning
the
from
things,
her.
the things that I saw my mom do, not saying she did absolutely everything. Of course she did, because humans. But there are things that I think make a mom that my mom did, or that some of my friends do, that it's like, oh, that's what good moms do. And it's like, if I'm not doing those specific things, I need to fix it. I'm not good enough yet. Instead of being like, well, is there something you want to incorporate? Well, we need to heal that. Yeah. We need to start. We start where we are. We evaluate, get in contact with the muscle. Right.
How do we integrate this?
How do we,
not just ourselves, but how do we integrate new practices?
How do we How do we want to move intentionally? What things do we move away from, and what things do we need to move towards? And not, it's the energy behind it that tends to be a problem for me. It's like an obsessive fix-it energy instead of an intentional and aligned energy. Yeah. And that intentional fix-it energy, that's 12 sometimes.
That's how we were taught. What's funny is, now that you're talking, and this is totally a sidebar, when your version of losing your shit is exactly your mom's version of losing her shit. Yeah. She rarely did.
She didn't.
Like, your mom is
just so looking at your face.
That's it.
He wasn't even there, but
he knows it.
and I were there, and we were terrified because her mom, wasn't talking to us.
Stunned into silence.
She wasn't even talking to us.
She was not talking to either of us.
Right?
She wasn't even looking at us.
She wasn't even in the same room with either of us.
But
We
there
were
was
in
a hole in
kitchen.
the wall so we could see it.
We could see it. And like it had been honestly at that point might have been warranted. I understand. Let me say, I understand how she got where she was.
I do too.
Me too.
Right? You
Oh, I mean, he's
in
heard
the
the story.
recounting. Oh yes, in the recounting.
And now he has a toddler, so now he really
I get it.
And your
I
toddler,
empathize.
your toddler is not nearly as wild as that particular young child was.
No.
was older.
So
Yeah, he was older.
Yeah, he was older.
He was probably about 8.
Yeah, I think so.
He was older.
How much older than him are you?
7 years.
Yeah, so he probably was.
Yeah, we were teenagers.
Yeah.
We were he may have been older than
I think he might have been 9 or 10.
Was that when you were living with us?
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
then he would have been
my
10.
senior year. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been 10.
Yeah, he said, what?
Yeah, so too old for that shit.
Yeah, too old.
Yeah.
Too old
For the shit that he was doing.
to
and
not
she
have
had
been in the shower for an
so
hour.
sweet for so long and tried every which way and every sweet tone. She had done all the things. All the things. Like everything a granny could do.
'Cause this is Granny now.
This is granny.
Right.
She had done them.
If you got Granny yelling at you, you ought to know.
Baby, you done something wrong. He was wrong. He's dead
Phyllis
wrong.
Elaine came out.
Okay, and listen.
Oh, that was Ruby.
It
Ruby
was
showed up.
wild because your mom never yells.
She doesn't yell. My mom, I cannot recall it to this day.
Only
That's
time,
all
My
time I
mother
can think of.
has never yelled at me. Never.
one time she yelled at me. That was funny.
That was funny.
It was over eggs.
It was just she.
Were
so
you doing
this
something crazy?
No,
I
it
was-
wasn't even
I
yell.
just- I had
She
a
did that
different
loud talk
time.
thing.
Oh yeah.
I think they're done now. Like it was
But it was
very
loud.
much.
It was loud.
Yeah, and it wasn't like yell. It was just
I
like
was like,
racism.
well, she will get louder if she needs more importance, but it's
Right.
not in the tone of a yell.
Right. Yeah. And like
It's
I
I need to
yeah.
get your attention.
I tended
Yes.
to cook eggs a little longer than she.
Come on, heart
That
scramble.
she deemed appropriate.
Right. she did.
Hilarious.
We cackle about that to this.
And I was like,
That's so
she's
funny.
technically right.
She was.
It's
They were cooked
hilarious.
perfectly because he took them off immediately.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, let me.
Because they keep cooking once you take them off.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was talking. We were talking.
Yeah.
He was like,
She was focused.
She
She was
was-
like, I need you to focus.
the man.
Yes. So it's funny to me how like for me, that is so minor. That's the most minor thing that can happen in a
Completely
house. Is somebody
different.
going, move me.
Right.
Oh shit, I should move. let me get, I like to move.
Right,
move.
right.
Like, let me get a move on. But like, yeah, it really reflects. It's reflective of the environment in which you were brought up. And that just tickled me so, because it really is. Why am I still looking at your face?
Yeah, right.
We literally, I think Christian ducked. I ran into the pantry.
I did. I tried to hide.
Yes, we both hid.
And I
We did not converse.
You
about it.
disappeared.
It was because I went
turned
into
around
the
and she was gone.
in the pantry. Door closed. The pantry wasn't even
It's
that
not
deep
even
of a walk in.
big.
It's
Right.
not
No,
deep.
it is already got stuff on the
sucked
floor.
it up and I closed that door and then I let my tummy out.
Hilarious.
Because I said,
But
"Oh,
again-
Sister Phyllis never yells. It's this.
But you
this
see
is
what I'm-
wild.
So it's less about the action and more about the deviation from your normal.
correct,
Right.
correct.
And so, like, for me, if I'm normally talking to Sydney like this,
Yes.
or we're playing, and then I go to move,
right.
that's
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying, and it's like, what did I do to deserve this?
Correct.
Like, a lot of processing going on.
Right.
She's
But that's also why I
Right.
give the caveat, because some people listening may have a childhood that looks closer to half of mine. Because
Yeah.
my mom was
some,
not super
some of
violent.
mine. I got slapped by brushing my teeth for no reason
he got hit in the head with books. That wasn't by parents, but
by a third grade teacher.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, and this is where we would have to fight. Because it's
But-
the
but-
nerve of you.
The
Again,
nerve,
but
girl.
See, unmitigated audacity.
Yeah, and it's funny to this day. I hadn't told a soul that it happened.
He didn't think anything
I
of
didn't
it.
think anything of it because, oh yeah, people beat kids all the time. It's fine,
I was about to say, because
And then-
if it's in your norm in any type
It
of
is in my
way,
norm. Yeah, it was like
Whereas I feel like that type of
I
like
would have-
unwarranted violence was not until like
Yeah.
there was a whole timeline with my family. But
Right.
there was a point where like unwarranted violence
Wasn't
just
at all,
didn't
yeah.
happen.
it was like a hardback spelling book. It was just
Wait, 2 hands over the head? Oh, bitch, I would have swung.
yeah, nah, yeah. It was
Not my husband.
Actually, I don't know. That's a lie. I wouldn't have swung.
Yeah,
I actually wasn't that kid. What I would have
And
done
I-
was immediately gone
I
up,
was very
gotten
much-
up, walked out, and went to the principal's office because
And-
I would tattletale.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah,
and you know what my thought was? Yeah, I should have sat my ass down.
Yeah, that was his thought. It was his fault.
Damn.
His thought was that it was his fault.
Yeah, I should have sat my ass
Damn.
because like
That
another
speaks to narratives, though.
another
Doesn't it?
student wanted to see whatever I was pointing out. And she was like, what?
Wait, so you was helping somebody?
No, I wasn't helping somebody.
Oh.
What happened was I had walked up to the teacher. Hey, there's this little thing in my fucking book that's like wrong or whatever. It's like, I think it was made like some obscenity or whatever the fuck. Gotcha. And she was like, I guess she was already like, you know, on the edge about something else. And she was like, Chris, okay, go sit. Like,
Was she black?
What the fuck you want me to do about it? No, she was white.
See, I knew it. I'd asked it in reverse because I knew.
And I was just like, you know, she was like, you know, for me, it was very much.
I thought she was black.
Audacity.
Audacity.
It was that energy of what you want me to
take your white hat.
Sit that. So I'm going back.
Put them on my black child.
I would have had her job as a child. I took my bus driver's job. I would have had that bitch's head. Carry on.
But no, yeah. So okay, all right, fine. I don't know what you own, but. I just
the
go
mistreatment.
And
another student
was like,
what
what you show us? So, and then she just took the book, and that's the thing I knew. That's whap right on top of the head, and I was like, you know, I should have said.
Is she alive today?
She may be. She may be.
You know what? Let's find her.
Yeah, we'll discuss this offline.
Things to tell
I was 8.
I was gonna let her make it when I thought she
I would
was
like
black.
to. I would like to see if she's reconciled that within herself, and if not, I would like to provide her a nudge to doing so.
Yeah. Well, I only know her last name, but anyway.
We can figure it out. That's not a problem.
Okay. Anyway, I love the support. I love the support as I'm coming out. And
I'm angry. People. I just want to call out, be vulnerable with my emotions. That story makes me angry.
I'm livid.
Yeah.
I'm livid.
I'm sorry.
I'm ready to fight an old bitch.
Girl, wheelchair and all.
And this is why it's important to maintain the right to fight people in wheelchairs.
Word.
Because to not do so is ableist.
You gotta equal opportunity
fighting. And now I'm not saying whoop them with your full strength. Make it equitable. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
maybe you sit down,
baby.
But like, if you an asshole,
you
can get boxed.
She hit my husband at the age of 8 over the head with a spelling book.
You know what?
She can get all of this energy.
But also, we could just find an encyclopedia.
I'm fine with that.
And return the favor.
I'm fine with that.
An eye for an eye. And I know Gandhi said to make the whole world blind, but it's looking mighty blind in here anyway.
I mean, if bitches can't see, might as well get what you get.
You know what? I think that would fix the aim issue.
I mean,
because if she can't see, she just swiping at the wind.
That's fine.
Okay, I don't really believe this, y'all. I know this. I'm just saying. I'm talking bad shit.
I don't have it.
Dark humor right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
for us,
Christian is vindictive, y'all. She a Scorpio. I don't know if y'all knew that. Christian get mad vindictive. I'm a cuss. That's why I say I got a little vengeance in my soul. But Christian is actually literally, y'all. This is one of my favorite stories. I actually told it at their wedding. It was part of my maid of honor speech. Christian literally, I had a situationship breakup in my freshman year of college, which was Christian's senior year of high school.
Asshole.
Damn.
To this day,
she
hates this man.
He could go kick.
See, this is why you need to forgive, because you got friends that will not forgive for you.
You talk about who go forget?
Yo, there are things where, like, literally, I have to like, if I am not done with a thing, or if I'm still processing a thing, I'd be like, I gotta figure out how and when I'm gonna tell Christian. Because if I tell Christian, she is gonna hate forevermore. Like, there will be no redemption. Whereas I'm like, no, I see the humanity. We've talked it out. We've processed
That's
this pain
fine.
and blah, blah, blah. Christian don't care. She'll be like, okay. She gonna do the nice, nasty church lady.
Look,
you know?
I hope he has the day he deserves.
Damn.
I mean, we were young.
Whatever he deserves.
I'm thriving. I think that's the win, no?
You having the day you deserve.
I am. And that's
same for him. If he ends up thriving,
like,
good.
What if the rest of his life, because he was a little bit older than me. So
he was.
Yeah. So like, what if the rest of his life he's done?
An asshole. Keep going.
He wasn't that much older than me. Damn.
I'm sticking with it. Keep going.
How old was he? I think we were like, what, 3 or 4 years apart?
I think it was 4.
Was it 4?
I thought it was 4 because I thought he was about to graduate.
He wasn't in school, baby.
Well, I mean, like the age of, you know what I'm saying? Like the age where he would be moving on.
And see, this
I think I remember how old he was, and I think we're both wrong.
Oh, okay.
This is why as
no, it was 3 or 4. You say what?
This is why, as a rule, I do not talk in bad light people I love to other people I love.
Yes.
Because I'll hate them? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
because people will form opinions because
Oh.
they love you,
Right.
right? But it's just like, no, we're working
We're working
through
through this.
that.
And so it's not that I
Like
don't
I
talk
can see
about
their
them,
humanity.
but I frame it in a way such that whenever you meet them, you still get to form an opinion about them for yourself.
Agreed.
I'm gonna.
I want to talk with you about how this affects
I'm gonna make a separation between these two things.
Yeah, I know.
Just for
I know,
Yes,
but I would
yes,
just yeah.
what Whitney is talking about. Granted, he was a person that she was with back in the day. That's not a person
Briefly.
right. That's not a person who's currently like
he
in
hasn't
life
been around
that I need to interact with.
2005.
No, I get what you're
I
saying.
am able to control myself.
Yeah.
However, if I am of the opinion or assumption that you are currently harming someone I care about, I will not be.
It actually won't matter whether you
Yeah.
say anything or not.
Right.
If she picks
Oh,
up
I
on
will
it,
know.
Yeah.
I will.
Fair.
I
Yeah.
will.
That's
I
very
will
fair.
know.
And also same. I'm
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but I am less quiet about it. Like I will be polite to that person just because I don't believe in being abusive to people.
Yeah.
And if I hit you with a yo, you got it,
Damn.
that's your last polite. You better go sit down and shut up somewhere.
Yeah. You're more direct with it than I am.
Or you fuck around and find out.
I am.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not even gonna be mean in my reading of you. But like at the end of it, it's gonna be a hey, listen, I see what you're trying to do. It's not really working on me. Like
Watch
we just
that. That was
not
interesting.
When did I do that?
You did that to a mutual friend.
I heard. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, you did that to a mutual.
Yeah. And it's like, yo, this is not really working for me. Like the way you're communicating, the way this works, that doesn't really work in my world. So we can just keep our distance.
I almost embarrassed somebody yesterday over some stuff like that.
I believe it.
Was it at work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
where were you?
Yeah, nah,
Who is you embarrassing?
yeah. Anyway,
Whoever needs embarrassing.
You know, and that's really how it should be.
it's like, look,
As God intended. That is the order of life.
you doing this all
What do they
out
say?
open.
Bring back shame.
Bring back. I wish I had a bell.
Right.
I need a bell to ring in the street. Bring back shame, but not internalized shame.
Right.
Get rid of that. We shaming other people
Shaming other folks.
for doing stupid,
Stupid shit.
shameful shit.
You're
Yeah.
gonna do it in the open. I'm gonna call it out in the open. I gotta ask. You see this
Just
shit you
sprinkle
doing?
shame on them. I wish you could sprinkle shame on people like dirt
Someone,
You good?
so they could feel the impact.
Oh.
someone-
It's like, you feel this? This is the result of your action.
Right.
That's what this is.
You know what this is? A swift consequence. Sprinkle it on you.
street karma.
Oh, not street justice.
Street no, not street justice.
Well, not street,
If it's a
instant
sprinkle.
karma.
Instant karma.
If it's a sprinkle, it would be like
I feel-
Sampling of
But I
justice.
feel like instant
just
karma
a
is
sampler. There
I feel
you go.
like instant karma is street karma. I feel like it's the,
I get what you mean.
karma
Sometimes, but sometimes it's not.
It's like
Sometimes it's just extra.
Sometimes it's just like, damn, that was quick.
that was very quick.
You stepped on the rake. Wow, crazy.
Ah,
A rake.
You know the visual. You
I
step on the
do.
rake, pop.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get the visual. I haven't thought about something like that in years. It's like one of the most, probably one of the, besides slipping on a banana, is one of the most iconic
yeah.
visual comedy
Yes,
bits.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's worth stepping on. But okay, so I guess to circle it back. So
to my loving ourselves.
before that, we were talking about integration.
Yes.
Right? And so like integrating the parts of yourself that that you've grown out of. That's how we'll say it. The parts of yourself that you've evolved from, right? Instead of looking down upon them or what have you.
Right.
And instead of rejecting them as bad or broken, because broken, and that's how we get there
Yeah.
to fixing, right? Is to say, oh, I'm so broken, which no,
I'm
that's
so bad. Yeah.
I'm so bad. I'm so broken, which first of all,
Mm-hmm.
that don't even feel right coming out of my mouth. Myself is rejecting that just internally.
Right.
But the truth of this is like, here's where it is. To let that go, you need a certain vulnerability to practice this radical acceptance of self.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, which allows you to integrate. And in order to practice radical acceptance, you have to see the truth
Yes.
of the situation, right? You must see the truth of yourself, which that is one of the hardest truths,
Yeah,
I
it
think, to
is.
digest, right? Because you don't want to think of yourself as what happens. You look at the truth. Oh, I'm not a bad person. Right? People be so obsessed with being good people. God damn. Okay. Like sometimes you're not,
What does that
baby.
even mean?
What does it mean? And sometimes you are the villain, my love.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes you are.
Sometimes you're the villain, and sometimes that actually don't have nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
Sometimes that has something to do with somebody else's narrative, but sometimes you did the villainous.
You did the villainous shirt. And I know some niggas that don't like me right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is fine.
Like, listen, I don't got beef with nobody, but people might have beef with me.
Yeah.
And if that's
One-sided.
the case,
They got to eat that beef because I don't know.
You can
It's not on
grill
my
it up.
plate.
I'm not
you
sharing.
can grill it up. And what I
not
learned
on my-
about eating beef is I will throw up. So
It's not for me.
it's not.
I'm
it's
vegan,
really-
bitch.
It's not staying down. Somebody fed me beef on accident. I haven't had beef since 2010, and they fed me beef on accident, and it ejected
You had to run.
Propel.
in the middle of the night.
In the
But-
middle
but
of
My body
yeah.
refused.
Yeah, another book by Oprah. Well, another book that Oprah.
on the Oprah's book club.
on Oprah's Club. She actually wrote it with this guy. It's called "What Happened to You,"
Yes.
and something that my therapist got me reading. But one of the things that the repeating phrase is that instead of asking what's wrong with you, that we need to be asking what happened to you.
Exactly.
Because, like you say, it takes us from this posture of trying to fix something that's broken as opposed to trying to heal something
That has happened. That has occurred.
happened
Yeah.
and bringing a level of resolution
Yes.
to your life so that you can move forward.
Yes.
But it's more like you said, that radical acceptance of, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
This happened to me.
Yep.
There's something wrong with me. This is how my body and my mind reacted to what happened to me.
responded,
And it
yeah.
makes sense
Absolutely.
that I reacted this way because this happened to me.
Right.
And that's okay.
And under this context, under this lens that I've been operating on, that is the incubator for this behavior.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Like,
This is how we got here.
right. And so it's not to say that this lens will perpetually be my lens.
Right.
No.
Right? Like the lens can change,
Right.
right? We can choose different narratives.
Yes.
We can integrate old narratives
Right.
into new narratives, right?
Yes.
Like this used to be my narrative.
And now it's this and.
And
Yes.
that was this.
Or it is, I'm no longer holding tightly to this, but please don't act like it's not there.
Yeah.
Because I think that's also it. Like healing often, most of the time, comes with scar tissue,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Scars are
are
part of
real.
it.
Like
Yeah.
that's how you know something is healed is once it has scarred over.
Yeah.
And so to pretend that, like, this is why, like, I think I said this on either last episode or the episode before, but I was like, oh, I've taken these tests and they're like, oh, you're secure attached. And I'm just like, yeah, but baby,
Yeah.
she came out of anxious attachment, right?
Yeah.
And like, because there are still scars
Yeah.
of that
Yep.
that are there. The healing is moving differently than moving through the wound, right?
Right.
That wound is closed up. I can handle it.
Right.
But it's not to say there's no evidence that it was ever there.
Yeah, and that's funny to me because there was this the quote from the movie Hannibal. I forgot which one is Silence. I think it's the last one, the latter one, where Anthony Hopkins says this phrase. It says, "Our scars have the power to remind us that the past was real."
Yes.
And I was just like,
Oh, that's a song. The scars remind us that the past is
It is. What song
real.
is that?
I tear my heart open just to feel.
I tear my heart open.
okay,
I
don't know.
cut something. Fuck. The name of the song is Tear My Heart Open.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
I remember
It's an
hearing it in
emo
the movie,
band. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it an emo band?
It's absolutely an emo band.
Is it an emo band?
I would be shocked.
I
if it's
remember
not
from
an
a
emo
Hannibal movie, so
I would not be surprised if they stole that line from
It's
there.
Papa Roach. It's not an emo band. I didn't think so.
What are they, metal?
nothing.
What are they
Yeah, like
considered?
rock.
Nothing about a roach.
Huh?
emo.
Like rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good song.
Just too
I have to turn that one on later.
That was we gonna jam that out a little bit.
That's a good song. But yeah,
Forgot about Tear My Heart Open.
that's a good song. But
Like, don't do that.
I mean, you could be.
There are other ways to feel.
Yeah, I mean, you could be. Yeah, don't tear.
Because it's like if you're tearing your heart open just to feel, what you're actually trying to feel is tearing. There are other emotions to feel.
You can feel things besides pain.
Correct.
yeah.
There are options.
Yeah. They might be uncomfortable.
But no, you're right. Like
unfamiliar.
Yeah, Red Dragon. What's the name of the movie?
oh yeah, that movie was
Red Dragon?
Red Dragon. It was like the prequel.
to Silence.
You know, I don't watch nothing where people is
I don't-
eating, folks.
I don't watch. Yeah,
I don't watch scary
Me and
things.
horror.
Yeah.
We, but like, there's a. So after you have a kid, right?
hmm
If you have a cesarean,
Mhm.
you're gonna have they're gonna cut through the viscera,
Yes.
all the layers of skin and tissue and muscle, and literally your
Cut my gut into pieces.
this is my birthing sort.
Get this baby out. Make sure it's breathing.
So
this was our last resort.
it was our last resort.
She wouldn't come.
More Papa Roach.
Sorry.
That was more Papa. Well, more Papa
I'm
Roach.
pretty sure that one's Papa Roach.
I think that is.
Yeah, I can see his face.
Pieces. I reached my last resort. Suffocation.
No breathing.
Then give a fuck about.
I don't remember. There's too many words to that.
If I had the music, I would have it.
I can see the chorus. Yeah.
Bitch,
somebody would tell me I'm fine. Yeah. So they cut through all this stuff, right? And so you're going to have like there's an external scar, which is the one that people can see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like mine, half of it is you barely can tell it's there, but the other half of it looks like a baby came out of there. But the whole damn thing is numb.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have zero sensation where that scar is. And so the interesting thing about scarring is like it can have so many different manifestations, even on the physical body.
Absolutely.
So like some of my scars, like I've had 3 surgeries. I've had 3 surgeries. So I've had two knee surgeries. So the scars on both of my knees are pretty soft, right? Mm-hmm. They're very small. So they're relatively stretchy. I still have complete sensation. But like if they needed to go back in, they would not cut on those scars, right? Because the tissue is thicker, right? Same thing if you get your nose pierced or ear pierced and you need to go back through there. Frequently they'll pick a different spot because it's harder in the spot where the initial piercing was, right? Now, and the other thing about it is scar tissue is not as elastic. So that is one of the risks of having multiple pregnancies after cesarean is that skin where they've had to cut it and restitch it, especially if you have to do it multiple times, it's not going to stretch as easily and you can risk what they call a rupture, which is honestly terrifying.
It's a rupture. Yeah.
It's a literal rupture. And so we have to remember that when we're talking about healing like emotional wounds, you can get to what looks like good, right? Yeah. Everything's closed up, scars all nice and tiny. Sometimes stuff can happen that can have you like going back to start.
Yeah.
You're not a machine. You have not. So like you said, when you were talking about your depression and that you had figured out ways to keep from getting back there, right? You had worked it out. That's amazing, right? That's the goal. Because the goal is not to let it get you're not trying to get to the point of rupture. You're supposed to be using your scar tissue as a reminder of the past. Oh, I remember I remember how we got here. I feel that pulling. I feel that pulling. Yep. Enact the protocol.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, oh, okay, where's this coming from? Who's pulling on the scar tissue?
Right.
Is it you? Okay, we need to break.
Right.
Because I got to figure this out. Right. I'm not going to have you pulling me apart. I'm not trying to tear my heart open. I need a break. So that I can like reassess what it is that is re-aggravating something that I have already put through the healing process.
That's really it. And I think it is for me. I like in my late 20s, my last bout of my like chronic depression. Yeah. I had an epiphany about like how life works. And I say an epiphany. I'm woo-woo. One of these guides and somebody up yonder told me something.
And you heard it.
And I said, oh, shit. Probably just like that. And it's worked ever since, right? And so, like, I've gone through divorces. I went through grad school, okay?
Still am marvel at that.
While doing other shit. I've gone through breakups. I've gone through shit that I think would have previously put me in a different space.
I was definitely worried.
Yeah, which is crazy. I was fine.
Well, which I know now.
You know, minus the anxiety. And the anxiety, she's a different girl. But the depression, I was fine.
Yeah.
And then like this situation happens where I felt like life was contracting. And I was like, oh no, this feels like that. And then
on that tissue.
It was on the tissue. But then what happened, and to make it more tangible, is I recognized I had clicked back into default narrative mode. That I hadn't had to confront in a while because that hadn't been the truth of the circumstances in a while.
Yeah.
And so when the circumstances got a little mirrory,
your brain was
the tape
like,
changed. The tape that's normally in there playing somehow got changed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then I realized because I was praying about it, I was like, I don't feel like myself. I was like, I really don't. Like I was struggling with gratitude, which is not a thing.
Yeah.
That's not a thing for me. I'm like, gratitude is how I survive. Okay. Like it is air for me. And so I was struggling with being grateful. I was struggling to see positives, and that's not me. And so I was just like, oh my God. And so I was praying about it. I was like, say, listen, are we going to have beef? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm trying to do exactly the thing you said, and this shit isn't working. What is up? Like, something's got to give. And then answer came to me again. Hey, check that tape. It was the same message I got in my late 20s. And it was like, you changed the tape. Why did you change that tape back? But it wasn't that I changed the tape. It's that like the scar had gotten pulled so tight that we didn't quite rupture, praise God.
Yeah.
But we were on the cusp, the precipice of a rupture. And when it got uncomfortable in that similar way, the narrative switched.
Yeah.
And so it was like, no, baby, you got to switch that narrative back. Like, use the thing that's been serving you. Why the fuck would you go back?
Right.
There's nothing to go back to.
But pain will trigger that for you. Particular pains can trigger particular narratives.
Oh, they do.
All pains don't trigger the same shit.
Oh, yeah.
They don't. So that's important to know. And so that particular, I always say, like, I used to say this about my anger, that it's like, I don't go off, but like if you hit the buttons in the right sequence, you can unlock the vault.
Yep.
And that's probably still true. Fortunately, I got more buttons and a more complicated
sequence. Yeah.
You know, but for that, it was like there is a particular sequence to unlock depression. And we were like 2 buttons off. And then it was like, well, why?
Stop pushing the buttons.
Stop pushing the buttons.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, like you said, there are certain buttons that push that lets me go into uncaring mode about another person.
Yeah.
And
apathy.
Yeah. Apathy.
At best, sometimes.
At best.
Yeah.
And so I can, like you said, I'll have to go back and revisit those narratives and see what causes those things. But because for me in a relationship, I'm a loyal person.
Yeah.
And I notice that I'm loyal, but I also am very keen on when you're being disloyal.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes you more aware.
Makes you more aware. And so when I pick that up, then it's
a trigger.
Now it's fuck you.
It's a trigger.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, so when you're
just kind of bring that tangible because we were talking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're talking about that type of healing, right, and being able to change the narrative back, is that obviously a lot of that has to do with you.
Yeah.
Right. But what kind of role does community play in that?
Yeah.
You know what this takes me back to is something you've talked about, right? It's space. Like, I think there were moments where like I would be on the phone with Jess and I would just be like, this fucking sucks and I hate it. Or I would be talking to Haley, like the people that are just kind of here, right? Yeah. And at the time, Jess is also single. So like we have more time during the day. Yeah. And Jess had a really flexible job at the time. And so like, it was one of those things where I was like, okay. And this is what we're very similar. And so I was just like, fucking hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about it. And Jess didn't, like, she would encourage me, but like she would let me get it out. Yeah. Same with Haley. Haley's so good. Haley's been good at that since like Haley was like 6. But Haley's been literally holding secrets since Haley was 6. But that is because Haley didn't know how to take their ass to bed. I had to pay them off.
Wow.
So I could sneak out.
Wow.
And do non-hood rat shit with my friends. Because I didn't do no hood rat shit.
Right.
I love that so much.
I literally had to pay that kid. She negotiated.
I love it. I love it.
Like 5?
That sounds like Sid.
I was like, I got $2. And Haley was like, I was like, don't say nothing. Haley was like, make it 5. What the fuck? Don't have a Leo sibling. That's all I have to say. They're gonna stick you for your paper.
If I can get something out of it,
you know. Listen, didn't say he hadn't said anything to this day.
To this day.
To this day.
Some of them evolve.
You want to talk about loyal? A vault. My sibling is a vault. My sibling is there are things my sibling knew way before my parents, and it never came out.
Yeah.
Truly. But
you got shit to do.
Big ups to the Haley monster. But what was I answering? What was I talking about?
Well,
community. So like that, just like holding space, right? Letting me, because at the end of the day, I think most people in my life trust that like I will get there.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's enough of a pattern at this point for me that it's like, let her get it out and provide support, maybe a reminder here and there.
Yeah.
but like, just sit with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What I will, this is the other piece of this I'm going to say, and this is going to sound anti-community. It's not.
Okay.
Certain shit I got to do by myself. Certain shit is an inside job.
Yeah.
And that may not be true for everybody. I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm saying that's how Whitney handles a lot of it. So because of my relationship with spirit, there are times where I have to go silent. Like I can't.
But see, that's also community.
You know what? Yes. You better
Cosmic
full
speaking.
circle.
Okay. I love it. That's
You're
not,
right.
that's true.
I'm actually never alone. Like I never
Right.
feel alone.
That's true.
Right.
You know?
For those for whom the veil is thin.
Yeah.
That is.
It is absolutely.
part of
And it's a
community.
very near community to me. It's a very
Right.
dear. We talk all the time, all day. Like it's a constant. I feel like they'd be like, oh, childish child. But then they also be giving me what's useful, you know? Sometimes they sassy and that's fun.
Yeah.
But like, I'm never alone. And so you're right. I may go silent earth side.
Right.
Right? Like, and there are days I'm just like, literally my sibling, because we live together, my sibling will be like, you good?
Haven't seen you.
Right. I'll be like, or like will text me and be like, you all right? Me. Yep. Okay. Like,
That's it.
that's it. I do the same for them.
Right.
And it is because I need to be with my spirit folk.
Yeah.
Because we working on something.
Yeah.
Right?
We're collabing. We're cooking.
We cooking. Let her cook. We in the kitchen. And so, yeah, I love that. Thank you for that reframing. I don't think I had ever conceived of that in that way.
Love that.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful for me. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because we talk about even with the Trinity, with our philosophical framework that we built up to be the Trinity.
Yeah.
Is that God is living in concert and community with himself.
Yeah.
And the whole reason why church is a relevant idea is because community is God's idea. And when the church ceases to be community, then it's
It
no
ceases
longer
to be
God's
useful.
idea.
No, that's real.
No, that's
And
Which
so,
would also imply, in that regard, could you then be in community with other versions of yourself?
I mean, that sounds like integration.
That's
this
how it
sounds
feels
like
to me.
integration. Yeah,
That sounds like integration.
that's a word.
well, I mean,
That's-
because if you
As
think
long as you're properly in community. I don't think if you are
Right.
subscribed to being distant or disconnected, that's not real.
it's not going
right?
to work.
It's
Or
not.
if you're not present enough to recognize the difference in narratives and the truth.
Right. If
If
you're
you're not operating in truth, you cannot possibly be.
right, and especially if you're in a place where you feel like, oh, I hate this past.
Yeah, that's not real.
And
Yeah,
you're still not. Are you still not reconciled with why pastor you did what you did?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
you're already disconnected. So you
Exactly.
can't be in community and disconnected.
Exactly. I think I was just in the book. Oprah talks about this interview that she had with this guy who was a convicted killer, and he ended up changing his life, meditating. I think his son wrote him to, hey man, I heard that you murdered somebody. Please don't murder anymore. Like Jesus is watching, and that was like the turning point for him to turn his life around.
Yeah.
Him also having been traumatized
Yeah.
Of course.
as a kid with a dysregulated mom. He ended up in a situation where he ended up killing somebody. But he said one of the things that he did say was that he had to learn, like you said, how to forgive himself
Yeah.
Yeah.
and understand where he comes from. And there's a lot of people that are, like you said, killers or murderers that are imprisoned, that embrace a certain level of religiosity or a certain level of spiritualness, but they really hate who they were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you feel and you hear them even in their prayers, and that eternal anguish
Yeah.
that they feel like they ain't shit before God's presence because they have
Yes.
relegated that this was a terrible person, and it's like, yeah, but like that's because of what happened to you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know who that reminds me of? B. Simone. I don't know if y'all have heard about B.
Yeah, I've
Simone.
heard it. Yeah,
Chris talked about her once
Yeah,
before.
Yeah. This is literally what it feels like. It's like, no, this is the same energy, just directed in a different
Direction,
path.
yeah.
Like it's the
Right.
same shit though. You still haven't integrated yourself.
Yeah.
'Cause you still out here. You still feel shame. Therefore, you are shaming.
right.
And that's what I was about to say is when your outward change is not coupled with a recognition that the person that you were before is human.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
did things that were not good, and also was a flawed being that was doing the best they could at the time.
Best.
Right? Yeah. When you change in that way, I could see it very easily being a lack of empathy for people who are in the situation that you were, and assuming that they just need to buck up and bootstraps and all that other bullshit, right? Yeah. And fix themselves like you did, right? And it's like, baby, didn't need fixing. They don't need fixing. Reconciling, healing, lots of that. It doesn't sound like you've done either.
Which it's one of those things where I'm like, had you been in a true community, the energy of that would be such that you would be working on reconciling to yourself.
Right.
Like again, externalize power. We're trying to reconcile to God in substitution of reconciling to ourselves.
Yes.
As if God is not within us.
As if.
You know, that doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, then when you approach community from that direction, then who are you pointing to?
Yeah.
What's the goal here? And so supportive community operates differently.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
A supportive community reminds you of your internal power. A supportive community reminds you of your collective power, because internal power can be collective if we're all one.
Yeah.
Right? So then we get to leverage that. It's so funny. I was talking to a brilliant client, and, we were just talking about the state of affairs and the different things going on within community. And it was like, the struggle of, well, am I doing enough? Like,
yes,
we're living in history right now. And I've always said, I wonder how I would respond to
that narrative. Am I doing enough?
And so one of the things that I said to her is that, and I said this and I warned her, because I got to warn people, because sometimes the woo hit and I don't got nothing else but the woo.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I know this is a truth, because it came to me and gobsmacked me. So if it don't gobsmack you, cool, no worries, throw it away. But I said to her, I was like, the figuring out of, oh my God, what should I do? What should I do? It was like, when that happens, go inside. We are literally all connected. We are all one. If we all believe we come from one creator, we got a common through line.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you sit still long enough, instead of trying to fix the problem, you'll actually be able to intuit what needs to be done next. Because the same God, spirit, intuition, whatever that talks to you knows everything that's happening. And can sync it up. This is how we get synchronicities. This is how we get serendipity. This is how we get all of those oh wow, what a coincidence.
Coincidences.
Right, which I don't believe it. You can keep a coincidence. We can use it for language, yes. But at the end of the day, it's orchestration.
Yeah.
None of this shit is being lost. And so that's how that happens, right? You are following the whispers of your own soul and intuition. And that links up with somebody else's, because we are all one, which is why we need each other. I only got part of the story.
Right.
I only got part of the instructions.
Yeah.
So you got another part. You got another part. Everybody listening has another part. People ain't listening got another part. Y'all should listen though. We all have pieces of the puzzle. I am in and of myself am not God.
Right.
I am a reflection of God.
Yeah.
I am one angle of God.
One facet.
One facet of God. But the rest of us are too.
Right.
And if we put it together,
makes one big, beautiful,
one big picture, if we can do it with love, which is God.
Gotta come together.
And so this is why, but even we've talked about this on previous episodes, even being in community requires that vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm coming in with ego, I'm not coming in with love.
No. Exactly.
If I'm coming in with fear, more importantly, because I think that's the other thing that I've heard from a lot of people, clients and other people. It's like, oh, I'm scared. I don't know which to do, and I don't want to put myself at risk. Baby, fear and love don't live together.
Right.
No.
Perfect love drives out all fear. Fear and love cannot live together. Hate is not an opposite.
Yeah.
Fear is the opposite. So if you are too scared I'm not saying you can never be afraid. Fear is also a natural human interaction, right?
It's what we need to
survive. But if you're living through the lens of fear, you are not loving.
Yeah, you're not.
You cannot.
Yeah. That's full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, when you were talking about, sometimes you need to go inside and be with the spirit community, right? Instead of the physical community. That requires a vulnerability with your physical community.
It does.
Right? And then they have to honor that whatever space you're taking. I mean, I guess they don't have to. They could come beat your door down, but we don't act like
Not
that.
my community. I got the best one.
Like we don't act like that. But at the same, like for Haley to be like, hey, good. Yep. And for that to be
That's it.
Right. For that to be enough.
My sibling. They're never going to push.
But I mean, but at this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I'll do the same thing if I check in at it. And if it's
And
like
you
too fast, if it's short, if it's whatever, it's like, hey, either busy or not feeling it right now. Either way, it's fine. I know you're alive.
Yeah.
You're okay. We're going to talk eventually, right? And so there's a vulnerability on your end, right? Because we talked about maybe 2 weeks ago about the need to not be misunderstood.
Yeah.
And so when you are not engaging with someone in the way that you normally would, or you feel like you don't want to, you don't need to, you need to do something else right now. And I do this constantly. And I am cognizant of it and working on it, because when you said not enough, that is a conversation I have with my therapist so much.
Wait, not enough? Like
that
not
I'm
being
not
enough?
not doing enough.
Got you.
Specifically not doing enough.
You know, I don't remember what I said. So
No. Yeah.
recap.
Specifically not doing enough, right?
Yeah.
And so if I send a text to somebody and I don't get the response and the same energy that they normally send it, it's like, oh, did I do something? Did I wait too long to text? You know, like things start running around in your mind.
Absolutely.
And so for that reason, to not respond or to respond in a different way, and not, because this is for me, to not assume that if I go, I'm all right, and just leave it, rather than needing to like force myself to engage, to not be perceived as there being something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
That's vulnerable.
It
is for me.
It is. I think for me, there are certain people where I don't worry about that.
Absolutely.
Right? Like if you are like, I'm fine, I can, even via text, I can hear your voice.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, oh, okay, she dealing with something. I'm going to let her deal with it. And then we going to catch up.
Same.
Right? And so there are other people where I think, because anxious, the scar tissue.
That's what I'm saying.
The scar tissue be there. And so there are other people where I'm like, my brain will start to construct.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a rector setting, something that's real wonky.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, wait a minute. And for me, because I've been doing this a while,
Right.
I catch it quickly. And I'm just like, hey, you don't have enough information for that. That is a sentence I say to myself so much. You don't have enough information
For that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
You're doing too much.
you're doing too
doing the
much.
most.
And even if you
Doing the most
do
with the
have
least.
information, then you have information, and maybe you need to make a decision.
Right.
Or maybe a conversation needs to be. If you have information, a conversation needs to happen.
And there it is, that vulnerability again.
Exactly. But 9 times out of 10, when that's happening, I do not have enough information to draw whatever conclusion about how they're perceiving me. But you're right. It's that fear of being, that old narrative, that fear of being misunderstood. And we got to, listen, we be wrapping her up, because I'd be like, hey, hun, I hear you. This is literally how I talk to myself.
Right.
Hey, hun. Hey, love. Precious one. Listen, sweet girl. When we're really going on, sweet girl. Hey, sweet girl. I hear you. However, we don't have enough information. You're jumping without a pole vault to conclusions.
Damn. Yeah.
We fall into conclusions, baby.
Fear be having us doing too much, not enough at the same time.
Literally.
Fear be having you doing too much and not enough at the same time.
Yep.
And because it disconnects you from the moment.
Absolutely.
So
Living
you
somewhere
don't
else.
meet the moment with what the moment actually demands.
Correct.
And I think part of to your point about fear, that what we're fearing is the emotion of fear.
And that it will never
and not
end.
necessarily the actual event in question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the moment in real time, you know what to do.
Or you figure it out.
You figure
And
it
it's
out
not
as you
nearly
go,
as bad.
and there's not this paralyzing fear.
Exactly.
Like I'll say, for example, something as traumatic as a public shooting, we can fear the idea of it, and be like, "Oh man, like that'd be terrible if that like actually happened."
And it
but
would.
when it happens on the ground, you're not paralyzed.
Right.
No, you do
You're going
something.
for cover. You're going to such and such.
Yeah.
Like the emotions that happen, the emotions that transpire when a thing is happening is very different than when you're thinking about it happening.
Yeah.
And learning, like you said, being present and helping and not living in this heightened fear. Oh, what could happen? What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And living in this, okay, what is happening though?
Right.
And what is going on in me that I need to respond to that helps you to be present enough to have a better relationship with the truth of yourself and who you are.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing we be forgetting with fear is that like your body has mechanisms to respond. That's what adrenaline is for.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Kicks in and it does the work.
what I will say is that what this conversation is, this particular section of the conversation is not addressing is like PTSD.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So we are not saying that applies to like
Everybody and
right. Like if you were to live through a shooting, then the fear that comes as a result of lived experience, that is actually your nervous system not feeling safe because it was not safe.
Right.
And it is normal to feel unsafe
when you've not been safe.
Exactly.
Correct. And so like this is also a thing. And I
better give it science behind what I said.
you know what I'm saying? I got you, brother. And so like this is the other piece, and I've been saying this a lot to people and to clients is that like in decolonizing therapy practices, one of the things, and I am guilty shit because I was trained, and this is what I was talking to you about like psychology earlier, is we so often talk about being regulated. That is the goal. You want to be regulated. You want to be always in control and blah, 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 blah. And for me, yes, but not in a physical way. Like it exists in the spiritual realm for me.
Yes.
Right. But that's not what psychology is talking about. Right. Like it's talking about your nervous system being regulated all the time. And how do I return back to normal? And that's how you function. The issue is when you are living in chaos.
Yeah. Regulation is antithetical.
Your body is responding the way it is exactly designed to respond because this is chaotic. Right. So you don't feel safe because you're not safe.
You're not safe.
And to then say you need to go find safety, figure out safety, but the environment is not safe. And so for me, it's like, I don't necessarily feel dysregulated right now, but that's because my sense of safety is not externalized. Because I am also not afraid of death. Which is, that's a leap for a lot of people. And I accept that. And I'm not saying that that's where you need to go.
It comes with the woo-woo package.
It does come with the woo-woo package. It does.
The woo-woo
you
thin veil package.
Get the woo-woo, you get that for free. And so, but it's one of those things where like, if you are boots on the ground, 5 senses, right? Like if that's where you find yourself, and you are worried about why am I so anxious? Why am I so worried? Because this is anxiety inducing and it's worrying, bitch. Like, it's sorry, I didn't mean to call you a bitch, but like the audience, I love you. I just use bitch casually, but you're having an appropriate response to, in our case, fascism.
Yeah.
And authoritarianism and all
that. You're having an appropriate response. And so it is the controlling mechanism that's telling you that's inappropriate. You need to calm down.
It's not inappropriate.
Right.
It's not at all inappropriate. And what I would actually say is lean in.
Yep. Lock in, lean in.
Lean in.
And this is what I'll say as we wrap this one up, right? So we're talking about what healing looks like, especially in 2025 in America. The reality of healing for you, right? As Whitney says, if your safety, when you're not externalizing your safety and fully concerned with like whether you live or die, you can obviously have a degree of regulation that a lot of other people can't, which is what she said.
Right.
But if you're talking about healing and dealing with the things and the ways you respond that you wish were different, whatever that means, right now, and she said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. The best thing you can be is yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever that self is right now.
Authenticity is key.
You got to be present with who you are and intentional, yes, as you move forward in trying to make whatever changes you're make. And, you know, I've had discussions with people who are starting gardens, who are trying to start different educational groups to make sure that kids know the stuff that they're deciding they're not going to teach in school anymore, trying to figure out how mutual aid is going to work. Like, all of that stuff. But being present right where you are and being fully embodied in who you are is the most important thing we can do right now.
Yep.
And like, fascism or not, you need to do that for your healing
every time.
Like that, we're talking about it because fascism, but we should do it all the time.
We should
do it all the time.
You know, so
you know, and being in touch with yourself and being aligned with your soul. Actually, I ain't gonna hold you. It's resistance. That is a revolutionary act. Everything that has happened in our society has been to get us to detach because it is easier to control people who are detached from themselves.
Yeah.
And from their souls and from each other.
Absolutely.
It is.
And so being in community in an authentic way,
Yep.
authentic and connected way is an act of revolution. Being in community with yourself is an act of revolution.
Wild.
Being in community with spirit is an act of revolution.
Especially
I'm not saying it is the only acts, but if you line up with those three,
that's a good place to be.
you will be in a good position to fight.
Right. And that's what Gil Scott Heron was even talking about when he
Exactly.
talked about the revolution and will not be televised.
Yep.
It's not about the external revolution. It
Correct.
is really about the internal process of transformation that occurs
Exactly.
when you realize what you need to do within you.
That's where it starts.
To resist.
That's where it starts.
Yeah. Like
As a matter of fact, fascism can't exist if we're all connected. If we had all been connected, this would never have been the outcome.
No, yeah, they got us.
Never.
They got us to.
But
They
we
got us
bought
to
into
bifurcate ourselves.
disembodied, disconnected narratives
Absolutely.
about ourselves and others. This idea of rugged individualism, that some people are more equal than others,
And bootstraps and shit.
and bootstraps, and all of this idea about supremacy.
Yep.
I released this prophetic word on Facebook. It was just really, it was
That's
just
just church woo woo for all y'all listening.
church woo woo.
He church woo woo.
I am church woo. It just rolled right on out.
Hella spiritual and connection. Hella connected.
It just rolled right on out.
Sure.
But it was definitely something that I felt was very prophetic. And then when it prophetic, it was just really just like chickens gonna come home to roost.
Yeah.
That was the sum of it.
That's it.
And it's like you're gonna sit here and make fun and make jest about these people in chains getting put on deportation planes. The same thing you're putting out into the universe is coming back to you.
Absolutely.
The nations around you will not come for you when you need help.
It's literally every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We're not going to act like these laws just apply to the physical plane. They do not.
Right.
If it is
They
a
don't.
universal law, if it is a universal truth, it applies.
Right. And so if you're gonna take pride and take joy in another person's dismay, then
It's coming back for you.
it's coming back.
That is the karma you've agreed to enter into.
That's the agreement you came into.
Yep.
And so America is on the decline because of that.
Why the hell are you jingling keys?
I'm sorry. I was stemming, I guess.
Heard.
Trying to.
I respect
get out there.
We got to get you a clean cord.
I was like,
What you doing?
Beat my ass all the time.
Well, y'all, this is the final main episode of season
y'all,
2.
we did it. Okay, pause. How many minutes do we have?
6 minutes.
Okay, I just want to say, I love you all.
Oh, love y'all.
Okay, yes, not
Love you
audience.
too.
I love these two people in this room, and I just want to say, even though we're too far apart to hug each other, we'll hug when we're done. I am really, really proud of us for doing this thing and putting ourselves out there and continuing with it. Like y'all don't understand how recording a podcast with your authentic self and your authentic opinions with your closest people is so vulnerable.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yes.
So vulnerable.
Christ.
Like even season 1, we were talking about vulnerability and it was so vulnerable.
It was.
And so I just want to say I'm proud of Whitney. I am proud of Christian. I am proud of Christopher that we have stuck with it. And we're going to keep doing it. That's what you need
We're
to
gonna
know.
keep on.
This ain't the end.
Right. We're going to run on and see what the end going to be. They say, we need 100 episodes before we can realize whatever we're going, we're picking up steam. I'm sitting here stuttering.
I mean, listen.
But we already
gotta wait
12, 16 in. And we feel like we hitting our stride a little bit.
I'm feeling stride-ish.
It's feeling. And listen, the feedback we got, people already been like, season 2, y'all cooking. Let us cook.
That's what's up.
Let us cook. Apparently, we hitting the people are listening and they feeling it.
The people.
We thank all of
We thank
you
you so much. And as a thank you,
Yes.
in the next couple of weeks, y'all be on the lookout for a little bonus episode, a little fun.
Yeah, little sprinkles here and there.
Get a little special, little behind the scenes before the pod,
During the pod,
random
after the pod,
random diatribes,
Little conversations.
conversation.
little conversations. So, y'all just stay tuned. If you see it pop up, first of all, subscribe if you haven't already, wherever you're listening to your podcast.
Yeah.
Go ahead and subscribe so you get
Hit
the
that button.
notifications.
Rate
Like,
it
what
if
are you
it's got the
doing
rating.
if you haven't subscribed? subscribed.
Rate it if you got a rating system on
Rate it highly.
Yes.
If you don't like it, you can email us personally and we can talk.
That
we can
part.
talk about it. We're open to critique.
But yeah, like y'all.
But don't mess up our public persona right now.
That's wild.
You ain't got to.
Lie.
Not lie.
No, if you
Address it directly.
if you have
we are amenable to
right.
Yeah, send us the constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And then send the world the accolades. That's what
Right.
we're
If you
requesting.
can, if you can't, shut up.
That's
Amen and amen. Amen and
Or
amen.
say lie.
So y'all, again, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for all of this. If you have
Right.
anything you want to chat about us with, keep on the lookout. We're thinking about starting some kind of group chat.
We
type
are group
situation.
chats. Maybe we'll have a few more features on the podcast next season.
Yeah, maybe you'll be able
Yeah.
to see some of the foolishness.
Yeah,
We
maybe.
don't
I know we said
know.
that last season, but we actually working on it this season.
Yeah, we're
Right.
actually going to put in the effort because, man,
I'm actually building a shed right now, so
Yeah,
I'll build a little studio.
Get the recording studio out of my house.
I mean,
Yes.
equal happen. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Well, thank you for joining us. We will catch you next season. Have a good day.
Bye.
Hey, holla.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Uproot Project podcast. We hope you found fresh perspective and continue to make space for real growth. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast. You can follow us on social media at the Uproot Project Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or visit us at www.theuprootpodcast.com for more content. To contact us, feel free to drop us a line at hello@theuprootpodcast.com. Until next time, keep living fully, learning openly, and loving deeply. We'll see you soon.